All right, we're live again here again. Patterdale Talk Wednesdays. Live your life dogs. New England Patterdale Terrier Club. I'm with Marshall, of course, the bro. And we have. Are you going by that name
You
you
can
got there?
no, you can call me Tim.
Okay. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
I don't
Tim with
even
us today.
I don't even know what that is on there. I was like, I had to ask my sister. She said I put that on there a minute ago. I was like,
All
okay, thanks.
right, that's all good. But yeah, we're here with Tim. Gonna talk to him about the Patterdale Terrier and do what we normally do. Marshall, you got anything you want to say?
Nah, man. I'm just excited to get talking about stuff. Me and Tim have kind of already been hunting and doing stuff before, so it's just talking about his experiences and stuff that he has going on, and
Cool.
everything all kind of circles back to everyone else's experiences. You're gonna hear kind of similar stuff, and everyone does things differently, and you're gonna find people who do shit differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the
Absolutely.
day, like if it fucking works for you, works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like you
It's
said
all
before.
about learning from each other is what I've learned.
Yeah.
That's
We
the
can all
main
learn.
purpose of this whole thing is to learn. That's actually why I put it together with Marshall is for me to learn really more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Yeah. And being
Not
and
just
being
me, anyone who's trying to get into the Patterdale world, but get into it and keep the hunting aspect alive. We're not getting into it and just putting them on the couch.
right, right, or just take them right. You know, throughout my experiences in these dogs,
Hmm.
you know, um, I've had fun with them in many different ways. I've had fun with them in the timber, and I've had fun with them at these shows like these terrier trials. Now, some of them are more based toward like you have to pick and choose which ones you go to. You know, like there's different events, different crowds. Um, but the Patterdale was looked down upon through the Jack Russells and all that, like that community for a long while, and they weren't really like noticed at these trials. But the more people got them, and the more that they realized that they're very versatile, um, they started opening up more towards them. And I know people that hunt them, and I know people that show them in like earth dog trials. They don't really go out and hunt in the timber, but they do participate in the earth dog trials. And we've sent personally, like I've been involved in and we sent actually a Patterdale to um the I want to say it's the L.A. County Sheriff's Search and Rescue Department for
Is it for finding people in crawl spaces and
for
stuff like that?
and
Like,
out in the mountains, and yeah, and they had that dog jumping out of helicopters and everything. I was like, wow, like to be part of something like that and to produce something like that that can be versatile, you know, at such a small dog, a small terrier that can be that can adapt to that. You know what I mean? Is like, okay, wow, like I mean, these dogs are versatile. They're fun in any more than one way.
they are
You
more
know,
fun in more than one way, but like at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people get dogs sometimes like that and try to have like a pocket Malinois, and they'll never be like a herder.
no,
With
no,
like,
no, 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 no,
yeah,
no. Nah. You can never. Look. There's a different dog for each job, and different thing. They're designed for different. Now, are they fun to take out and watch do bite work and all that stuff? Sure, that's fun for the person that's the novelty they're into. Were they bred for that? No. They're bred to do what we do. They're bred to take them out, put them in the timber, put them in farm work, do agriculture work, you know what I mean? Clearing pests from farms and stuff of that nature. You know, um, the guys over in England, they kind of, in Ireland and other places over the pond, they tend to keep it traditional, little bigger dog, but
Hmm.
they also are up against a larger quarry. They're, you know,
Exactly. We spoke about that
you
on
know,
a couple lives, one or two.
and hey man, look, we're gonna get like I when I'm on the internet, man, and I kind of like talk that BS to guys, it's more or less just like, what I mean, like, look, I like to mess with them. They like to mess with me type stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes a little far, but in reality, we're all in the same sport. We can learn from them. They don't like to learn from us, but I got guys that tell me, hey, man, we really do learn from y'all. And it's just a pride thing.
Yeah, I do.
They started it. They bred them. You know what I mean? Um, but if you really want to come down to it, and everybody talks about, oh, this person started this person started that. Yeah, we'll give everybody their credit. You know what I mean? That puts it out there. But nobody talks about the miners that really started them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like if you go back through history, these dogs' names were miner dogs. Like
Yeah.
they're mutts. I mean, like people just had them, for ratting and stuff like that. And then, you got men like Mr. Booth and um, Mr. Dalton and other gentlemen of high caliber. You know what I mean? They breed dogs to get out there and really work. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
Badger and stuff like that. And that you have to have a bigger dog. Like, how do you put? Like, let's be realistic here. How do you put a 12-pound dog, 20-pound, 25-pound quarry that survives and fights for its life every day? Every day.
Yeah.
Like they have to fight every day. You're taking a
Mhm.
domesticated animal that has the drive and the genetics, and that's his job to get out there and hunt. But it's a different type. They're going against something that's out there that's survival mode. That's in
Fighting for
survival
their
mode at
life
all times.
daily. Yeah.
Daily. Yeah, it's different. Guys can't. And I used to be like this. Oh man, I want this super hard dog that's just going to go in and take as much damage as it can take getting the job done and this and that. Those dogs don't last long, and you get more healing time than you do hunting time. Cause
Mm-hmm.
to really I mean, if you're going to do them right and heal them up and really, take care of them,
Yeah.
it takes a while to get them back into proper health. You can't just trash them. They're not fucking machines.
Yeah.
They're dogs.
Yeah.
You can't. Genetically they're programmed to do what we want them to do. So in that way, they're kind of like a little computer, little program computer, but they're made of flesh and blood.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they can only take so much. And people don't understand, man. You know, I truly believe these sporting dogs go as hard as they do, not just from genetics, but from love.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And Marshall, I've told you this on hunts. Like we've talked about this sitting in, you know what I mean? Like watching them work. Like
I agree.
I think a lot of it has to do with love. Like they know that you love them, and they know that you love what you're out doing with them, and they want to make you happy. So they perform to the max of their ability,
Hmm.
and they
I mean,
will
I
give.
know for sure that's one of the things when it comes to the pit bull. For sure, if a pit bull
Absolutely.
notices that the owner loves what it's doing, it will do that shit till it can't.
Till it can't go no more.
Till it can't. Yeah, till it has like literally nothing left. If
Nothing
it
left,
knows that
brother.
the owner, if it loves the owner like that, and it knows that the owner loves what it's doing, whatever it's doing right there, right then, and you know what I mean. It
Yes,
will do
sir.
it. It won't stop. It
Nope,
could
it
be
will not
a
stop.
spring pole. They'll do it to their pat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
To
just
the
they're
just
gonna do it. They're gonna do it until they have nothing left.
yeah.
And I truly believe a lot of that stick and stay
We got
um does
finish
come
what you were
from
saying.
from
Not to
that.
cut you off. My fault. Finish what you were saying.
I do believe a lot of that, you hear guys use the phrase stick and stay,
Yeah.
right? Um, I believe a lot of the dogs stick and they stay out of love. Um, they're not pit bulls. They're not game dogs. They're not they have that drive. They do have that drive and that grit, you know what I mean? But again, you know, their job is to stay and still dug. You know what I mean? Once you get to them, they're not really built to kill. Um, that's all. That's us. That's us as handlers to decide what we want to see. You know what I mean? What
They're
to
built
what
to catch.
yeah, to degree. What degree
Yeah.
is going to satisfy us as handlers? You understand what I'm saying? Um, some guys I've seen some guys talk like, "Oh, I want this caliber of dog," but you know, when you get down to a dog of that caliber, and that dog is really up against some hard quarry, and it's taking massive punishment. Yo, I've seen guys break and be like, "Oh shit, my dog. Well, that's what you wanted. That's what you said you wanted. Like, don't
Yeah.
don't backtrack now, because you can't. The damage is done. Like
Yeah, you can't
now,
keep Pandora's box.
this is exactly.
You can't.
No, it's like, so it's time to kick in and show what a handler does. That's the care of the dog afterwards. You know what I mean? Like that's where it really shows like what your dedication is to this sport. Anybody can take a dog out with a collar and a locator and turn them out. Some dogs are gonna range and find, and some dogs are gonna stay next to you until you find it. You know what I mean? Or lead them to something that can be found. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I know guys that I know guys that free cast like I do. Most of the guys that I hunt with free cast. I know other guys that are a little older that 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 have massive amounts of property, and they kind of hunt a little different. They do a little bit of scouting and they scope they glass sets, you know what I mean? And they'll see if it's active. And then they'll that's just the way they hunt traditionally. We'll call it a traditional hunt. They like to hunt tradition, and
Binoculars.
that's here and there. You know what I mean? On both sets of, on both sides of the pond. Um, I think that we do things different here in America than they do over there, and I think we tend to bump heads. You know what I mean? Just as men, and just whoever's got the what's the masculinity thing, I guess you could call it. You know what I mean? But in reality, like I said before, we're all in the same sport, and it's all nice to learn from each other. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um,
We actually got
We got a couple questions that came
yeah,
through.
Tsunami 72. Good evening, fellas. New subscriber interested in the Patterdale, but only have experience and owned American Pit Bull Terriers since the 90s. What else
Yeah.
it says?
Yeah.
Tsunami. I already want a cocker bred Patterdale after listening to a couple podcasts. Sounds like they're the best around.
We were actually rarely like talk about specific lines. Like I feel like we just kind of going in general. In the last dogs we talked about was just straight up Mason. The last podcast we had was just like flat out like Mason dogs.
Well, because
I get up on here and want some.
I have a Mason and who was we talking to? Billy.
Yeah, we talking to Billy. We talking
And
about
Billy has
Billy
Mason.
Houston.
So
yeah,
yeah,
Billy's a good guy. I
yeah,
talked to Billy.
definitely. Yeah, I was talking to him earlier.
Yeah,
So
Billy's
that's
good.
how we probably got into the Mason a little more because I got a Mason and he got a couple Masons.
Then
But
you got a Mason.
yeah, I got a Mason. Yeah.
Can we click on that next question the Tsunami had about the Patterdales of the high level of game litters? Yep.
Do Patterdales have a high level of game litters, or there's only a few really good ones in a litter?
That
I
kind of
mean,
vary, man. That can vary so much. But I feel like there are definitely some people that are making litters that are pretty consistent. I mean, the stuff that you had, like the Iggy Rasta, like out of all those dogs, were there a lot of dogs that washed him, or was it like?
No, there's a high. If you go back through Robbie and if you go back through those guys, I call them the Kansas crew. I don't like to specifically put guys like individually, because
Talking
a
about?
lot of these guys are crews. You know what I mean? Like the Kansas. We'll call them the Kansas crew, because there's a group of guys
Yeah.
that kept that line going, and they kind of preserved it to them. You know what I mean? They're good guys, and they didn't just hold it to them. They actually um let other people get the line to preserve it. You know what I mean? And guys have crossed it to this and that. Those guys have preserved it to the point where it's really really tight. You know what I mean? And the percentage of working dogs that come from those dogs, um, I personally have seen some really 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 high, high.
I think he froze out a little bit.
yeah, let's see what happens. But I get it. I think it's what he's saying. I think it's because they're keeping everything so tight. is why he's seeing good results out of most of the dogs.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, I think trying to figure out really if the word kind of game applies to that. But I think that kind of like everyone's opinion kind of varies.
Yeah, just like everything else. See if we could figure out what's going on with him. For now.
Oh, so we just got Adam back.
Yeah, he should be able to hit the link again and come back. We'll see what happens. Tsunami has another question. Do Patterdales sometimes fool you acting hot to have them decide they didn't want the prey after some time and run? I mean, that all depends on the dog. Some Patterdales would run into anything and get themselves killed. Some Patterdales would take a bite and run away. I want to take another bite, but that all depends on the dog. Might depend on how early you turn the dog on, things like that, bloodline. But yeah, same thing with pit bulls. So you come from the pit bull world in the 90s. Some pit bulls act like they want to be in the pit or act like they're game, and then when it's time, they're not. So same thing with the Patterdale. You want to say anything on that, Marshall?
About like just gameness or about
As far as like he's asking, do they like sometimes fool you acting hot and then decide they don't want the prey? But I mean, that's kind of comes down to the dog.
I mean, I guess if you put that dog in a bunch of dumb situations where it was in over his head, maybe it'd just be like, nah, I didn't want that. But you got to kind of build your dog's confidence up if you can, as far as like with quarry and as far as knowing their age. Like if you're in this place with a lot of like unknown variables, like a lot of these big groundhogs and stuff like that lying in the brush, like maybe put like your dog is under 14 months on a leash if you don't think he's gonna like be about it.
Yeah, and you don't want to. That's why I mean, some people, we kind of spoke about this last week, but starting your dogs off too early or send them in the holes too early. Some people do it at 6 months.
Yeah.
Some people wait till they're about a year to really let them get busy.
Let me see if I can call Tim. One sec.
Yeah, do your thing. Patterdale's bred similar to ADP's line bred and bred.
You know what I think happened? I think his phone died.
Oh yeah,
he was talking on his phone and it died because like how I call it back.
It'll probably charge it back up and hop right back on.
Start getting popped back in, but we got enough people here. I guess we can kind of have like a general conversation about stuff.
Yeah, we got enough questions in the chat too. There's another one from Tsunami. Are they bred similar to the American Pit Bull Terrier? Line bred, inbred. I think people do that with any breed.
That's making a breed, period.
Yeah. I know people who do that with Borables, Frenchies.
Anything you want to make
Rottweilers, whatever, any breed. Do they do that with I mean, not to get into it, but they do that with other animals?
Yeah, line breeding? Yeah, for sure. I mean,
They do that with fucking roosters, chickens.
I feel like it probably line breeding and inbreeding probably affects them less than it does like mammals.
Dig it. Is the mouth biting and pressure? Is the mouth and biting pressure evaluated in hunting Patterdales? You can answer this better than me, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like it kind of depends upon what you want. I mean, I think people in general with the Pats, they kind of come off as kind of a hard mouth dog, but it's all kind of individuals. Like it's almost more of a type than a breed that's kind of becoming a breed.
That's also another conversation we could have. A lot of people It's always been a type from what I've read and from what I've heard, but I guess a lot of people are, considering a breed or considering certain bloodlines of the Patterdale breed.
Yeah, I mean, to me, just like Earth Dog's an Earth Dog. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. For me, is just like, can I find like a 10 to 15 pound dog that can fit that bill, that has that little drive? Like, I like Patterdales, but I'm willing to kind of try anything that can kind of fit that niche.
As long as they're willing to work.
Yeah, as long as they're willing to work and can fit in the hole. Like, that's kind of my mindset now for having a terrier. Got this little fox red lab here, just figuring out my basement.
Yeah. I like my cocker bred dog. The drive on that sucker is crazy compared to others.
Yeah, I've heard that's pretty hard keeps too. Most high drive dogs are, to be fair.
Who, cocker?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of cocker dogs are pretty hard keeps. Like I had a friend I talked to about him. He says they'll like just grab the water bowl and just shake it and break it and shit, and he has to just like literally like cement it into the ground.
Like a yog?
Yeah, like a yog. There are some yogs that are definitely destructive. Mine I had was pretty destructive.
From what I hear, they're pretty much all destructive.
Yeah.
To be honest, just because it's a hard dog doesn't mean it's going to. What do you think he means? Just because it's a hard dog doesn't mean it's going to get whipped?
I'm reading that like twice now in a second. Yeah. I mean, I guess he means like it's because I guess a hard dog could come out on top in certain circumstances. And I guess like a lot of the times it can. Like I think in the U.S. with quarry, you can kind of have a harder dog, but like in some of those places, like Tim was going to describe, like talking about like hunting badger and shit, like it's a lot of crap going on. Like there's always something bigger and badder that you can run into.
Yeah, a hard dog in some of those other countries, or depending where you're at, will get killed
100%.
quick. It's just going at anything, no matter the size. Like I was saying before, we was at a farm and there was a 80-pound beaver. So if you got a dog that's whatever, a Patterdale, that's 20, even a 20-pound Patterdale, running up on an 80-pound beaver is probably gonna be a bad day for the Patterdale.
Yeah, and we'll double back more on that. Like if we end up not getting able to get Tim back tonight, guys, we'll run it back next week. I'm down for it.
Yeah, of course. Did you text him?
Yeah, but his phone's definitely dead. When I called him, it just went straight to like voicemail. So I assumed that he's probably talking, didn't realize it was dying, and it died. No, we got a good question. Here we go.
What are the famous Patterdales a newcomer should look to have in a pedigree? Understanding performance first. You want to answer the first part?
I don't think you should chase pedigrees if you're beginning into these dogs. I think you should chase the dogs you see in front of you. I think you got to get out, hunt with someone with dogs that you like, see those dogs, and decide if that's something you want to do. I don't think. Like,
I mean, what if he is someone who's just all he can do right now is kind of like do his homework and search the net. Like, I mean, he could put out a blast where he's at. Maybe someone has a Patterdale and they can meet up with him. But say he has and got no hits back of anyone in this area having Patterdale. So what would you say the best way to go about it? What I mean?
I think the best way would probably be defaulting to looking at some of those Mason dogs you're talking about in the last pod, as far as just like looking more towards American like earthworking like terriers and seeing those lines that you like, because like we're Patterdales are like all across the world, so we're talking like famous ones in England, famous ones like in the US, like.
And there's another there's a US Mason, and there's another Mason, correct?
Like overseas, Nuttall. So like it all comes from Nuttall originally. But I don't know if there's like, I assume it wouldn't surprise me if people from the UK ended up importing back from the US. I feel like they would never, ever probably admit that, but it's a possibility.
I don't know if it's someone who just has, you know, the same last name, or they imported back from the US. But from what I understood, there was a Mason, overseas Mason, and I don't know if it was a bloodline or maybe just a breeder named Mason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I probably I'm gonna do a little bit more homework on it now that we're talking about it, but
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong, of course. But what was the second part? Performance first and only what matters. But what are the famous best Patterdales of all time?
That part is kind of subjective. I feel like that depends on like people's opinions a lot, but no, go to this next question he has, because that's something I can answer immediately.
Yeah, I get what he's like Jeep, Chinaman. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't. There's definitely some bloodlines that have bigger names.
Titles, yeah.
There's definitely some bloodlines that have bigger names, but it's not as deep as the Pipple world, I would say. In the Pipple world, there's certain, like the ones he's saying, Jeep, you know, Chinaman, there's you know, Red Boy and stuff like that, where it's like those names just ring bells, period, as soon as you mention them. I don't know if it's the same in the Patterdale world, but you've been in it longer than me.
I guess just like when people hear like the Nuttall lines that you hear about, that rings bells, like Booth starting to Cocker. I feel like that's been kind of a recent thing. Or there are a couple of fucking lines. Like I don't know, man, but there's definitely different Earth Dog titles you can look at.
I mean, Mason has a good name. It's just in the recent years, it's kind of been said that the dogs aren't getting worked. But I mean, I also know people that have them, and they said they're working fine too. So I guess again, like that could be all opinion. I guess.
Yeah.
Opinion, experience.
Yeah, shit's all subjective for sure.
No, I meant to ask you as far as the because you have a lurcher, and we're both in Massachusetts, New England. Do you think the lurchers needed out here when hunting with Patterdales, where we're at?
I think it would. And honestly, I was thinking that video I sent you, is it possible to play it on here? You can take the audio out of it, maybe.
Oh,
the video of the coyote walking by my back fence.
Give me a sec. I should be able to. Let me just see if I could actually.
I think that's going to help answer that question too, if they're needed.
All right, let me see if I should be able to. Let me just see if I can blow it up. Share screen. There we go, right?
Yep.
All right, so this is when yesterday in your backyard, actually, right?
Yeah, this was yesterday. So context, yesterday, 7 p.m. Right now, I'm in my basement where I have my board and trained dogs. I have two young board and trains, like a 10-month-old retriever and like a 7-month-old sheepadoodle. And I have them out playing, and that little sheepadoodle thing, he likes to yip a lot when he plays. And I think the yipping ended up like attracting this just very large coyote, like probably one of the larger coyotes I've seen that is very bold. Like right now, it's their breeding season. So you're going to see a lot of them out. You're going to see a lot of bold ones.
Let me see. There we go.
Yes, you can see him kind of walking up along the fence line. He goes right to the middle. And he's looking at me, and this is probably like a good 15 feet getting closer. When I get closer to him, he just hangs out. He's not too scared of me at all. And if I had a small dog out, this is probably like a 5-foot fence. This dude could have cleared it and got a small dog easily. That's one thing you have to worry about when working these small dogs in these like coyote areas, is like predation of your dog from these coyotes.
Yep. And again, we was talking about it with Tim as far as that, like they'll get you to chase.
Yeah.
Get your dog to chase and then surround your dog.
Yes. Wild experience. Yes, this happened yesterday.
Yeah, so as far as, I mean, yeah. Now, do you think your lurcher would be able to handle that? Say if you're out with your Patterdales and your lurcher, like I just asked you if a lurcher was needed out here, and
I think I would probably think that maybe having 2 to 3 out would probably make the most sense, because at the end of the day, if he chases that one and lures him to more of the other group, and then some double back for your Patterdales, you're kind of screwed. But that's a whole other element that I'm still kind of getting used to, is larger populations of coyotes. I don't feel like I had to really deal with that as much in Maryland, as I probably will end up doing that here.
No, I don't know. That one night we was actually talking, and there had to be at least about 10 at your backyard. At least it sounded that way when you could hear them howling. So
yeah, it sounded like they were pretty close to that fence, and that was the first time, like I said, as of yesterday, that I've seen them be that bold and up close. Honestly, like, I hate to say it, but like if he keeps doing that, like I honestly feel like I just need to get like a nuisance permit and just drop him. Because he's just it'd be one thing if it was my dogs he's trying to dick around with, but like can't have him hopping and try to boogie with my trained dogs. Like that really would kind of screw me over.
Yeah, might want to look into that.
Shoot.
See if we could Tim still didn't
Nah, he used that job site and his phone was dead. So if he doesn't have a charger in his car, he'd have to drive back to his place and charge his phone up. Oh wait, he's active now on Facebook, so you just saw it. So maybe he got a charger. There's hope.
Let's see.
Yeah, said he just saw it.
See if he could. There we go.
I'm so sorry, man. My phone got some type of technical difficulty going on. I said, man, I'm not tech savvy, man, so I was lost like crazy, dog. I was like, oh my God.
But you're live. That's all that matters.
But I'm back. Hey, I just grabbed the locator and located y'all. That's all. I'm sorry about that, fellas.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good.
What did I miss? Because I'm excited about being on here. I came straight home and plugged this damn phone in and make sure this bitch don't die and we don't have no more technical difficulties on my end.
Can you see the question, Tim, that we just posted on our chat?
Hell no, I'm damn near blind. I'm 47 years old, dog, and I'm going blind.
So those little words under their chat said, I hear groundhog is formidable prey for small Patterdales. Is there a certain number of prey that are considered formidable for a Patterdale dispatch to be considered breeding stock?
Wow, that's a broad question.
It is.
No, I don't see. So that's crazy. I came right back on something like that. So these, I got okay. When I'm hunting on the East Coast, a smaller dog is needed for the job. Groundhog sets are like tight, Pebbles, Berry, the Mason line, a lot of the Nuttall line I've worked behind are smaller. They can get down and you start going into the booth lines. They're a little big for groundhog sets. Like Spade, he was booth. He's heavy booth. He was a little big.
Yeah.
But he got in there. Just like your dog,
Yeah,
Um,
Barry. I feel like there's very much a good chance that some of the times when we were working, that he got on Fox and lost them, just from the spots we were in. Like he was
I
asking
do
about,
think that.
yeah, he was asking about what formidable prey is for like Patterdales, and I feel like the red fox that we encountered there were either stalking us or we were hunting them. Like
Yeah,
it's just flat out stalking us. Like we would be hunting groundhog, and you'd look up over a hill and you see like a fox of like a messed up foot watching us from 10 feet, and it'd be like too late to see.
I mean, yeah, Fox is definitely formidable for a ground. I
formidable.
mean, for a
And
Patterdale.
and I do think groundhogs for dogs of smaller stature are very formidable. You know what I mean? Groundhogs are smart. You have to have a smart dog. You can't just have a dog just running around down in there, because groundhogs are tricky. They'll backfill them. I've seen them like dig little side tunnels and let the dog go by and then come out and go back the other way. Um, I think anything that's on its own natural earth or in its own environment is formidable. Um, you're taking a domesticated animal and putting it in strange terrain, and it has to adapt to something that lives there, and it has to, what I mean, that's there every day, wakes up there, eats there, sleeps there, defends itself there. You know what I mean? Like, um, yeah, formidable depends what you're into too. Rats could be formidable if that's the type of dog that you're into. Like you don't want to go past that caliber of hunting. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
Honestly,
um,
like working those 5 pound dachshunds.
if you're going,
Cool.
5 pound Dotson.
yeah, but you wouldn't take that Dotson. You wouldn't take that Dotson and put that Dotson on a 30-pound coon either.
Nah, you wouldn't want to try to, but like I've seen
Now, if
some of
it
the ones.
comes across it, its natural instinct is to hunt
Yeah,
it
it is
and to
what it
work it.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
after hunting with Teddy, I got a new respect for dachshunds because when you left, I met this lady named Teddy Moritz who breeds those small dachshunds, and I was working them on groundhogs, and I would consistently get good flushes to Henry, whereas at Patterdales, I would get flushes, but like remember like when me, you, and Todd went hunting, and a groundhog popped out with no jaw, and Henry was just grabbing
yeah,
groundhogs, not even doing anything to him. That was
right,
just completely
right,
handicapped.
right,
Yeah.
and then you come, and then
Henry's your thing, though, isn't it?
huh?
What'd you say?
Henry's a Patterdale. Is that isn't that your lurcher?
Henry's
He's
my
a
lurcher.
lurcher. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
lurcher.
So
Yeah, we've had. I mean, like I've hunted with guys all over. Good guys. You know what I mean? Really good guys have taught me a lot of stuff, man. And then the guys I couldn't hunt with, um, that I've had the opportunity to get on the internet with, or like talk through Messenger and learn things from. They hunt in
mhm,
different. Um, you got guys that are hunting in upstate New York. You got as your you guys you guys are in upstate Boston, Massachusetts. You guys are in a lot of rocky terrain, a lot of
mhm,
hard terrain. It's got a lot of rocks. That's hard. You get a dog down in that stuff, man. You either got to break out breaking bars and jacks, and start, jacking that shit up and jacking it out of the way. And so it's harder. It's harder. You guys need a dog that is able to maneuver in there and also think how to get back out.
Yeah.
A smarter dog is needed for that. A smaller dog, thinner, what I mean, thinner stature. But with that, it also comes limitations. You know, you got to give to get. You got to give up some power. You got to give up some bite strength. Things like But you also then you find lines that accommodate that. The guys have already adapted. Took that line and adapted to that type of working condition. You know, and as you move out towards west, I've noticed guys tend to need bigger dogs. You need dogs that can work badger. You can't take a 13-pound dog and stick it on an aggressive American badger that's running anywhere from 15 to 25, a big male 25 to 30 pounds, if not larger. You know what I mean? It's gonna wreck that dog. It's gonna chew your dog up and take it deeper in the set and eat it. It's like, nah,
So
that's
that,
not
that
fair. You
that's a
So you
world
need a
that
bigger
people don't know
dog,
about.
huh?
That's a world that people don't even know about. So you're the first person to talk about encountering badger on here, like you, American badger. Like we haven't had anyone else. We have them in their area yet. So as far as like, you go
Yeah, I
out
mean,
with
you
them.
know, I think, huh?
If you like in your area, could you go out with your dogs and be able to target badgers? As far as just like working, or do they
You
just
could
move?
so where I'm at, um, yes, I could target badger. We could go out and I could say, hey, you want to work badger? You have a badger dog with you. We could
Yeah.
specifically
There's
target
enough of
badger
them out
area.
there.
Yeah, because I know what they're. You you want to during the winter times you want to hunt a lot of like for badger out this area. I'm only speaking for New Mexico.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma somewhat. Me and Curtis have encountered badger in Oklahoma. But
Okay.
for here, encountering here, I tend to find badger more around prairie dog city, like little commute, like prairie dog communities, because they hunt rattlesnakes, which go inside the prairie dens, and they also hunt prairie dogs. So I find a lot of them there. But badgers also have a very like they travel. If there's not a food source, they'll continue to travel until they have to den up, and then they'll dig a den. They'll instantly dig a den. They don't necessarily need to have a specific den. Um, during breeding season and whatnot, you find a female or what, she'll usually tend to have a area that she tends. That's just what I've experienced. Other than that, they move. You're never, unless there's a food source, they won't stay in the same spot very long. They'll move. But
Have you
if they have a
have
food source, they're going to stay there until they deplete it.
it's all gone?
Yeah.
Yeah, all
Have
gone.
you ever
Yeah.
have any of your dogs ever grabbed the prairie dog?
Prairie dogs. Um, Not like having never went in the ground. Their holes are too small. Now
Yeah.
they've caught them above ground at like the parks and shit like that around here because there's like a lot of prairie dog. They've grabbed them, but that's just like grabbing a big rat. One or two shakes and it breaks them up. Like it
Yeah,
ain't too fun.
yeah,
But I have been thinking about getting into hunting with either ferrets or with mink. And me and the mink man have talked about it, about hunting prairie dogs with those mink or ferrets. I like that's something I'm trying to venture into soon. But
yeah. The ferret. I mean, the mink shit's a whole nother thing. Minks is a whole nother thing. Ferret is something that, yeah, I definitely looked into it a little. They're just
Yeah. I've hunted over mink.
there's a couple things about ferrets a little bit. They you gotta take care of them a little bit more, and they're not as cheap as
yeah,
they used to be too. That's what's crazy too. Them shits is they used to be like
they're
$80. Now they're fucking $400.
200-300. Yeah, 200-400 dollars. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like everywhere you gotta go to these designer ferret breeders. It's like, well, that's not what I
I
want.
mean, out here
Like,
where they sell them at like Petco, but you don't want to get any fucking animal from Petco. You always want to go.
yeah, I don't want nothing like that. I
Nah,
want
nah,
somebody,
nah, nah. You don't want to. But even there, they're like 350.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I've been researching, man. It's not something I've ventured into yet, but I am looking into it. But like, that's just when the boys get, because my boys, man, I just try to keep them out doing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and
Would you
like,
trying to? I mean, that's a really you would have to get like a whole new set of dogs and have them kind of grow up together. Your dogs now would just kill it, but
oh
would
yeah,
you?
yeah, absolutely.
You would have them? Would you trying to just do the ferret thing and they chase things out the holes and you catch them with the net or or would
Yeah,
you trying to
that's the
do
way
it
I
with
would hunt.
along with the
I don't
dog?
think I would do it with the dogs. Nah, I don't think I would try to
It's a
get them
lot of time
because
to get them used to the dogs and the dogs used to them, or
yeah,
more the
yes,
dogs
sir.
used to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And also I think that you'll confuse it. Like you can't take an earth dog and start flushing things to them and then have them like they start to think like, oh, everything's gonna get flushed to me. I don't have to go down the hole. You know what I mean? So it's like
And so you
I
think
think it
with
kind of like changes their hunting style.
and you think that works more with the mink man probably because he's not because he's ratting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's like a traditional style. Like if you go on the internet and look at YouTube with like the guys that rat over in England and stuff like that, you'll notice that like those guys kind of do like a lot of above ground ratting. They dig, they smoke
Mm-hmm.
out the rats. They do this, that. Um, but you got a
Yeah,
lot of guys over there also dig too, though. There's a lot of guys that work badger too. Um, and fox. Um, but
that's a troll question this person just asked.
what was that?
The person just asked, are females that don't hunt given a pass and bred? That's like a no-brainer. No, they don't fucking hunt them.
Now I gotta go.
And
Um,
the next question was from actually Jamie. So Jamie said, Tim, you've hunted with a Wetzel dog out in New Mexico for Badger. He asked you, have you ever worked any Wetzel dogs?
I've worked behind Vettel dogs. Yeah, out here. Man, Mr. Park, I work behind them dogs. I've always spoke highly of your dog out here. He actually was a really good dog. Actually, he was just actually the Vettel dog that I personally worked behind and that I've seen and been around was a high drive, man. High drive was really high drive. Um, and the owner of that dog was very impressed with him, you know. Um, put him through a lot, tested him to the max. And I want to say he was bred to another dog that was oh man, I forget. I'd have to contact the owner to see, but he produced actually some really good pups himself also. Um, oh, I'm trying. He I know he just recently passed away not too long ago, within like the last year. But I don't know if the handler ever got it, the owner ever got any pups off of him and kept them. I think he sent them off to a yard that he deals with a lot. The guy hunts up there in Albuquerque. So they target a lot of badger, raccoon. And they let their dogs up there. They tend to hit a lot of coyotes with their dogs. Um, so those guys, that
You
group
know,
of guys up there, their dogs better be with the shit from like a young age too. They gotta be turned on early. So those Vettel dogs seem to turn on early.
me and you hunted with a Wetzel dog in
And
Maryland. Remember Todd's dog Chase? That was off of Doc and Fire. So Fire's a Wetzel dog.
fire, yeah. Big fire dog, right?
Yeah, that's off of all Wetzel stuff. And we hunted with Chase. Chase is that little dog we hunted with who Todd had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And remember, I tried to remember if you remember right, I tried to buy that little dog off that guy that day you had him there. Remember, I told him he seemed unhappy, and I told him, remember I asked him, I said, "What you
Yeah.
unhappy with him?" And he was like, "Oh well." I said, "Hey, what you want to sell him? I'll buy him right now." And he was like, instantly stopped and was like, "Huh?" And you were like, "Don't sell him." I was like, "I don't tell
Yeah.
him no different. I'll buy that dog right now. Like here, he just needs a little bit more. Like he's good. Like he ain't that dog.
Oh, he's
That
good.
dog was working his ass off that day,
What was your
huh?"
Let me ask you this. What was your deepest dig?
My
Like you
deepest dig.
remember? Yeah,
Yeah.
do you remember just one dig where it was like, oh, you had to dig deep, just crazy hours, or just just
10
a
feet.
crazy dig you had?
I think the craziest dig I ever had was with Robbie Robinette.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the side of a hill, and it was like a lot of slate, and the dogs were like, it was like we were right near them, but you couldn't really like the locator was hitting, but it was like pinging, and it was like it was saying it was right in front. They were right in front of you, but there was a rock right in front of you, so we had to cut into the side of it. And once we got down in there, I kind of like looked, and I was like, "Holy shit, we're like really down in the side of this hill." And then I we looked over, right, and we seen something flash, and I think it was Robbie said, "Man, there's a raccoon in that tree. Just went in that tree." And I was like, "Nah." And he was like, and sure enough, we cut through and broke open, and Spade I got pictures of it. He came out through like a clay opening and then went out and went up onto the tree. Robbie said there was a coon on and went down in there. And we actually had to save Spade because the coon, Robbie shimmied out onto the tree that was out over the water. And the coon bolted and jumped out. And Spade jumped off the log and Robbie tried to grab him and he jumped into the water and they both went swimming across. Somehow or another, Robbie ended up diving in the water and getting him and saving him. And we ended up getting a coon too. We ended up getting that coon. But another crazy time, I think was like, now that I remember, I had to go under, I had to submerge. If I want to say it was me, yeah, it was me and Robbie. We were on the Kansas River, or not the Kansas River. I forget what river that is. Me and him was on, but Spade had located up underneath the root ball on the side of the river, and the only way to cut into it, was take a chainsaw these root, which took us forever to get in, and we had to cut this big tree down, or go down into the water, submerge, go under, and come up underneath the root ball. And Robbie had did a water rescue the day before, and he looked at me and was like, he said, I'm not going in the water again today. So Robbie's actually got pictures of that. Damn, I have pictures of them underneath the root ball fighting, like getting like him making contact. And then I had to like I gave the camera back up to Robbie through this like root, like this hole through the root. And then I had to grab Spade and me and him had to submerge and go under and come back out underneath the bank. And then Robbie took him from me and then helped me up out of the water. But he's got pictures of all that like above me. And I was like, that's probably the craziest. I actually ended up catching chiggers from all that dirty mud underneath there. Tore my ass up.
What is it?
Chiggers. It's these little mites that come from like rotten wood. They tore my ass up.
They're all over the Eastern Shore. Eastern Shore of Maryland has them pretty bad.
For like termite?
Yeah, chiggers are no joke, man.
Yeah, like little like water bugs that will like bite you and nail you. In the Eastern Shore of Maryland, they're like a lot by like kind of like more like muddy waters or like muddy ponds. You can kind of get them.
Yeah, they burrow under your skin like little termites.
They hurt.
Oh, they hurt. Yo, God, they hurt. But I think I mean, me and Marshall's had some. I don't think that one dig that we had wasn't really deep, but it was really long.
We had one dig that was like ridiculously easy for no reason. We had this guy Justin who came with his dog. Me and you hopped on the tracks. We went straight up. We followed a fox on the fucking tracks for 20 feet in slow motion. There's all the three of us. Like this was probably like the second hunt I had my lurcher on. And we had this guy who had Patterdale, and he comes up to me and Tim before we go on the hunt. He's like, "Hey, just so you know, guys, I got chronic pain." And we're like, "Oh, okay, shit." So he started walking really slow, following this freaking fox up the train tracks. It cuts left into the hole, and we get his dog to go in. And
it's a raccoon.
We see the fox on the other side of the field. It must have when the hole bopped out, and then a raccoon was in there. That was such.
That's exactly how it happened too. The fox went in. The fox came out. The dog went in, and there was a raccoon in there. And I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "But hey, we got him. We got that man on fur. That's all." Listen, he was happy.
There was a coon and a fox in the same den.
The
fox had come.
Yeah.
Spade had bolted this fox, and he came. The fox we were coming up the middle of the train tracks, and that fox came out and was like, didn't really know we were there. When it came out, it turned back and seen us, and it was like, oh, and it started going ahead of us, and then out of nowhere, it cut off to the left of the train tracks and just went into this hedgerow and went down into a set. And I want to say Henry had stopped, like had got to that set and was on the other side of the hole. And then, what's his name? Justin's dog had ran down there, and that's when you were like, no, this hole. And moved him over there, and he shot down in that hole. And I was like, well, it must be there. And he made contact, and I was like, he got it. And you were like, he's got it. And I was like, if it bolts, keep Henry right there. And all of a sudden we look up and the fox is over there. And I'm like, holy shit, like, what does he got? And we start digging down. And I remember I said, I heard that snarl and I was like, oh, he's got a coon. And that's when Justin was like, he looked at you and said, man, I got back pain. I got chronic back pains. I can't be doing all this digging. I said, dude, what? Like,
That was
oh
a pretty
man,
cool
like
shoot,
that dig
wasn't it?
turned into a, and then
Oh,
luckily, God
so
bless me, it was easy.
that's one thing I was having a conversation with my cousin about is that um you gotta somewhat be in shape to do this shit.
Yes,
Like you can't like
especially if you're gonna hunt solo.
Yeah, if you're gonna hunt solo, you kind of
hunting solo is just kind of stupid.
Oh well,
Well, I
not
mean,
very
not
bright.
I don't want to say stupid, but I don't want to say
Yeah,
stupid,
but
but
you
dangerous.
hunt solo a lot.
But dangerous. Who Tim does, right?
No, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Tim's like,
yeah.
damn, did you
I
just
hunt
call
alone.
me stupid?
Nah, it's yeah. Well, I'm not very bright, so nah. But
Nah, but
I
I
hunt
wouldn't say it's
like
stupid, and maybe because of your experience, it's a little, you know what I'm saying. But anything like if you're out with your dogs and you're a mile from wherever, from where you're safe, mile from your home, 2 miles or whatever, and then you get a bad ankle sprain, you know what I mean? Like even that could be something. So, and you're a skinny dude, so if you're like out of shape.
it'll
You
take
know
a
what I'm
toll on
saying?
you,
If you got
bro.
a little weight on
It'll
you
take
and
a
you're out
toll
there
on you.
alone and you know what I'm saying? Like that could
Hey,
be a
yeah,
bad hit.
you when you're hunting alone, it's one, it's very peaceful. Like you
Yep.
learn a lot. Like if you're a handler, like you really. So let me back up. So when you're hunting solo, and if you're really into this sport, that is when you get your most evaluation of your dog. You learn the most about your dog and learn most about yourself with the dog. Like, is that dog really your style of dog? Is it performing to what you wanted to perform as? With that, is that what, like, is that in your mind? Is that dog performing to what you have in your mind? You know what I mean? When you're
Mm-hmm.
hunting solo, there's no one else out there critiquing your dog. There's no one else out there telling you what you should look for or none of that. It's all you and that dog. And then when that dog encounters or finds a quarry, depending on what
Yep.
quarry, it finds, I free cast. So I don't, I can't say what they're going to find. I find out what they found when I find them.
Yeah. You
You
put it a
know,
really good way to me one time, and like
huh?
you put it a really good way to me one time when we were talking about it, and like this is like our church, like just
Yeah,
getting out.
this is our church.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our church. To some men, this is our church. Like
Yeah.
this is where this is why we find peace. You become in tune with nature, and the dog is just there as a tool. You know what I mean? Like some men just go out for a hike and just have a dog, and they play the part, but they have the equipment. They have the equipment in case they do get in that. But reality, that's not what they're into. They have a
Mm-hmm.
dog. They know the responsibility of it. They know that this is what they like to do. Then you got guys that are out there doing it. Like, you have the equipment. You have the dogs. Now it's just you have to put them in the timber and then be willing to put in the miles because some places don't have all that game. You have to put in the work. You know what I mean? You have to put the dogs there to put them to get the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, there's times like Marshall, you've seen and heard me like we talk after a hike on the river out here. There's some days I do 7 to 10 miles. You know, that's like there's been days longer than that with Robbie. I remember like one weekend, me and Robbie put like I think like 27, 30 some miles out, like just hiking, you know what I mean, in 2 days with dogs. Um, it's like, and it takes, you have to have dogs that are willing to do that. You can't have a dog that just wants to go a couple hundred yards and then they want to come like back to your heel. That's not gonna
Yeah.
work.
That's
No,
not your thing whatsoever. No, I've me and
no,
you on some hunts where dogs have tried that shit, and that ain't night. That's not your game.
no, that's
you,
not me at
you
all, man.
it's cool.
That's not. I'm cutting that short quick. Like you won't see that dog around here no more.
But the thing is those English guys, like that's kind of how they'll want to work their dogs.
That
Is
is
they'll
how they want to work their dog,
want to
and
have it by
that's
foot.
why. That's how. If you ever notice, when I do make comments, I don't down their I don't okay. I don't down their blood. I don't down their dogs. What I down is the way they hunt, because they'll say there's guys out there that say that I shouldn't be like free casting is dangerous. Well, of course, fucking hunting is dangerous. Putting your
Yeah,
dog on in putting your dog in a situation where it's going to encounter an animal you're hunting, what I mean, you're trying to remove from its home, that's dangerous. You know what I mean? So like they don't I don't let me say how I should phrase let me phrase this. I hunt outside the traditional hunting style that these dogs are supposed to be hunting. Um
Was
from what I'm
originally
told.
doing.
From what I'm told.
Hmm.
I don't know any other style.
yeah. Nah, I mean, I feel like for the most part, how me and you do it when you kind of like free cast and work those hedgerows. That's a productive way
Hmm.
of doing it and knowing kind of what you're going to hit in the beginning. And then when you
Yeah.
confident in doing that, when you want to hit the timbers, is where you're going to kind of get pressed out by quarry and the environment.
Right, because then you have to. Yeah, now it not only that you have a dog that's locating in trees. You know what I mean? They find a hollow tree, man. Shit, I'd end up. I mean, look, one of the last hunts that me and Robbie was on, I had Herman over 30, 40 feet in a tree. Couldn't get him out, couldn't cut it down. So I had to wait. You know what I mean? So I just found a tree, took my pack off, sat back, twisted up a spirit stick, got blazed, and let the dog do his work. And then all of a sudden, Robbie says, "Look, there's a raccoon coming down the river." It was running down the ice of the river, right? And then all of a sudden, we hear the dogs. And then all of a sudden, boom, here come the dogs. They got one, and they're chasing that one. And then here comes like another one bolting up the hill. So they bolted them. You know what I mean? They had them out. And I think you were seeing pictures of that hunt, Marshall, up in that
Yeah.
tree where
Do you
Griffin was out on one limb and Herman was up in the trunk farther. Um, there's some days where they're undiggable. You just got to sit back and say to yourself, okay, I got to evaluate this situation. I'm alone.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
What do I
do you
do?
free cast? Do you free cast all your dogs, or is there some dogs we're like, nah, I'm not. He's just too this or too that, so I'm not free casting this dog.
When it comes to the dairies, there's certain dogs I won't free cast, and the reason I won't free cast them is because they range out so far. If they ended up taking I experienced this, and this is why I don't free cast on the
Yeah,
dairies
you give me
anymore
the
with
story
certain
for that.
dogs, is because I had a dog that was young, had a great nose. This bitch could locate. I mean, you could probably shove a coon inside a pile of manure, and she would locate it. Um, she wasn't real hard. She wasn't real hard at all. But what she did was she located and she chased these coons into a stockyard dairy where they hold all the cattle, and she kind of started like a small stampede and got herself stomped, and it broke her neck.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned before I take them to the dairies, I try to get them with a serious recall, like where I can hit like literally like
Yeah,
on a dime, they stop and turn. Like the one bitch that I use for the ginger, my son's dog, the one that I use for the dairy 90% of the time now, I can stop her on a dime with just a chirp and a snap or a whistle. She'll turn on a dime. She knows to stay away from the cattle. She's all stock broke. She knows where to hunt. She shows younger dogs what to do and how to do it. Um, I tend to like to hunt a younger dog with an older dog that's got more experience
yeah,
at first until it makes its first locate. Once it makes its first locate solo, like out with like say if I'm running pairs and that young dog makes the locate first and enters, I'll start to evaluate what it's hit or what it's hit on and see what's going on and if it really wants it or not. If it doesn't really want it, and I see that it's not, they just locate it and then like it wants to like engage, but it doesn't. It's like second guess. I know it really ain't ready. and I don't want to like really mess it up or anything, I'll yank it and just let tease it and let the other older dog get in there and work. And then once I see that the older dog has got everything in control, the younger dog's not going to take that much stick, I'll turn that dog loose. You know what I mean? Let it work, get a little bit more confident. But once I'm out, and I see that that dog is like working the way I want it and moving the way I want it, and then it does it, it locates, and then starts to show like engaging on its own without any help from an older dog. That me and that dog are out on our own. Like you know, there's not much backup.
Game time.
There's no reason for you to have no backup. I'm your backup. I'm there to help you.
I mean,
I'm there. That's my job as a handler. Like
yeah,
now, if I get down in there and the dog's got the situation in complete control and it's already got a kill shot before I get to it, you know what I mean? Like it's got everything in control. I'm not gonna go down in there and stick the animal unless like, it's really like, you know, in a situation where like, okay, it's gotta be dispatched, you know. Now if it's a younger dog, you may catch me say, hey, it's gotta put in its work real quick. I wanna see if it's gonna take it all the way and then go from there. But once they've got a couple, like what I mean, like they've proved themselves, they've got some seasoning. What's the point of tearing them up like that? What do they got to prove?
yeah,
You're proving only to yourself. That's what you're doing. You're proving yourself that that's what you really like. Like oh yeah, they got to do that, or I don't want them here. That's fine. I mean, but you only gonna have them on a few hunts. That's what you're not realizing. Like I tend to grow more towards a hard mixer, a dog that gets in there and picks it, will take a little stick, but really like get in there, and once it hits, it sticks. But it's ready, it watches and ready for the shoot, to shoot in when it can kill and control. You know what I mean?
yeah. And
So
I feel like a lot of people, there are people out for patios either come from hunting dogs or game dogs, and I feel like if you come from kind of the game dog stuff to pats, like your immediate one, what you want to see is attack, 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 and that's kind of how like your mindset kind of starts off, and then
absolutely.
start evolving the type. Like that's everyone's evolution I've seen this far. Start with that is kind
You
of going from that, like in the rough mix, or like just a dog who just
you
uses.
start to realize they're hunting dogs.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's yeah.
Yeah.
Is that you talking about what
Like,
Tsunami said? Are you talking about what Tsunami said, Marshall?
yes.
Or?
after what?
This guy Tsunami said after a few losses, I imagine it comes with the sport, and you breed lots of extra dogs for whatever will happen. I mean, yeah, most people do usually have at least 2 to 3 pats just to cover your ass, because like every now and then go
Yeah,
back.
you end up in my situation.
Yeah,
You end up in my situation, work
Yeah.
yourself out of
We
dogs.
we spoke about that about as far as some people let their dogs get busy at 6 months. Some people let their dogs get busy at a year or later. It's probably a lot easier to let your dogs get busy if you got three at home still while you got three out. You know what I mean? And
Right,
some
but you're
people
not
have
really
more than
seeing it.
that.
But you're not really like when you got multiple dogs out,
Hmm.
older like dogs are let's say you have a group of dogs that are the same age, right?
They're not really seeing what they could do
You
solo.
right. There's gonna be it. They're pack. It's nature. It's a pack. You're gonna have a dominant. You're gonna have an alpha, and that alpha is gonna be the one that that starts it all, and stays there. And the other two or however many you got, are gonna follow suit. You're never gonna really see what each individual dog has by itself unless you put it by
Unless you
itself.
get let them get busy by
By
themselves.
itself.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
take it out, and that's a one-on-one thing.
Hmm.
You need to be and this is my personal opinion. I think a lot of men and women, people, but we'll just say people in period in general, are afraid to go out in the woods by themselves.
yeah,
That's the bottom line, dog. They are afraid if they get into some shit, they're not gonna have the know-how, the know-how one, the equipment two, nor the stability in their mind to control the situation in something like that. I think it's going to be overwhelming for them. They're not going to know how overwhelming. There's been some times, man, where I've got overwhelmed. Man, shit. I've had to get down the ground where I was afraid if this thing falls apart, man, and collapses, man, nobody gonna know I'm back here. Me and this dog being stuck in the mud
I
somewhere.
mean,
I'm gonna be a
that makes
missing
sense. I
person
mean,
on a
I'm from
milk
the
cart the
city.
rest of my life.
I'm from the city. I don't just. I'm from the city. I'm from the
You ain't
block.
going, yeah, you
We
ain't
don't
going
just
bouncing
walk in
out in
the
the
fucking
side
woods.
road and just going in the
Yeah, we don't just
woods.
walk in the woods. That's not what
Yeah,
we do.
That same
yeah,
spot.
exactly. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
And I could have two
So
pistols. We ain't just walking in the woods.
yeah,
Like hunting,
and
yeah,
then then
we
you have
gonna do
people
that
now.
for a reason, but you know, just
Yeah,
how
and then
like you was a kid where or how you are now where you might just say, "Oh, I'm going for a walk in the woods." Negative. I'm bringing my Pippo with me.
right, right, right. Like, and then on the flip side of that coin, I know people from the country, right, that have these dogs that will not go rat in the city
Yep.
because
And
they don't know, they've never been to the city. They're afraid of the
Yeah,
city. You know what I mean?
vice
It's not.
versa. Yeah.
It's just it's vice versa. But
yeah.
that's where you have guys that like, hey, you can ask Marshall. Shit. He invited me ratting one day. Everybody's like, you going ratting? Yeah, why not? Shit, I'm getting out with my dog. Like, I ain't not get to get out with my people. Like, and we're gonna go out have fun. I'm not stressed. I don't care it's rats. And Marshall will take you some crazy places in the city, you understand? And it's like, yo, and then I don't know how many people would just stop Marshall and be like, hey, are you hunting rats with your dog? And it was they were so inquisitive. You understand what I'm saying? So it was like a new experience, something that I didn't have, you know what I mean? Because like I'm kind of antisocial and I don't really want to be around a lot of people like that when I'm out with my dogs. Like I want to be around a certain person, and outside of that, I've learned that I'm not good. So I would just rather be myself most of the time. But then I got guys like Marshall and Biggs. I haven't met you, Woods, but like on here, you know what I mean, and on the internet.
Hmm.
But it seems like we would always. It seemed like we would have a good, positive energy and like good time, And I those are the type of people I like try to associate with these dogs, Um, and and these dogs have introduced me to some great people. And I'm gonna say, listen, they've introduced me to some people that are very good and very knowledgeable, right? We just didn't see eye to eye on some things, but I would never tell you, like if somebody was to ask me about a certain person or certain people or a certain this, I would say, hey, those guys right there are knowledgeable to this because that's what they do and that's the style of dog they like. So whatever they tell you, yeah, they would probably be the people to be most
And they
knowledgeable,
know
and
what
that's
they're
who
talking
I
about when
go.
it comes
They
to
know
that
that. So
situation.
that's who I would go to for that information if I need it. You know what I mean? You got to give credit where credit's due. You can't say, oh, that dude don't know what he's talking about. Well, if he didn't know what he's talking about, he wouldn't be fucking breeding these dogs. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Unless he's just some puppy peddler, and they show themselves. Those dogs that come from those type of people, they're easily identifiable. Like they just you won't hear good things about them. They won't be the first ones that are oh my man, you need to go get this bloodline and this. Nah, you'll be told like, nah, don't go mess with that shit. You know what I mean? But to each guy, to each person, not everybody's gonna be the same. All three of us right here, right now, right, will
Hmm.
own if we all took all three of our dogs out, all three of our dogs would have a different hunting style.
Yeah.
My dog style might not be your dog style. You may not like my dog style. Vice versa, everything, you know what I mean? Or we might all click and say, hey man, those dogs are really not I like your style of dog. It's a style. It's like everything else. It's like some people wear Jordache, some people wear Wrangler, some wear Louis Vuitton,
It's
Gucci.
all
It's
like
all
they
about what
say.
your taste is.
Everything's 90% of it. I mean, even arguments. 90% of
Yes.
arguments are really just opinion. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir. Yup, opinions.
Comes to
And
dogs, sports,
yup.
fucking clothes, like you said, food. Is it
Mm-hmm.
you like what you like? You know what I
Yup.
mean?
Yup. And who really knows? You know what I mean? What you're gonna get. You could breed two field champions together, right? They've been on everything in the world, okay?
Mm-hmm.
have all this credentials, everything behind them. You get this dog, you're super psyched. I came off this dog, it came off that dog. And
And
next thing the
flops.
dog's a damn dog, a damn dud. It's like grabbing a pack of firecrackers. You know those old black cats? You light one, might go off, it might not. Don't grab it after the wick burns down.
Oh,
Just let
Tsunami
it
has
go, you
another
know what I mean?
question. Tsunami has another question. Now, Patterdale's conditioned for hunting to be faster, stronger, and fit, not fat, pulled out of the kennel. Yeah, I would
I mean,
say I would say yes.
you could technically speaking kill an out of shape dog, depending upon the season you take it out, and if that's what he's asking. So like, yeah, if you
Yeah,
planning on working your dogs, like have them in a good shape and good routine. At least like walk them.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
can't
I
have
have a, I
couch
have a,
potato status.
I have a dog pacer, a dog treadmill, and my I put my Patterdale on it daily. Just if for anything even if it's anything, her legs gonna get stronger and her stamina, you know what I mean, will get better.
Right.
Might not do anything for
I
like
mean,
necessarily the jaw or necessarily the neck, but her legs are definitely getting stronger and she's definitely building more stamina. If you know what I mean,
correct.
that's just
Correct.
that's
Your
fact.
conditioner, to stay,
Yeah.
your conditioner to stay, you know what I mean, stay up to speed throughout the hunt. Um,
Hmm.
do I necessarily put them into a keep like bulldogs? No, I don't put them into a keep like a bulldog.
Hmm.
Um, have I? I've done it for my own personal reasons, just to see if I could what I could do as um like I
Making
had
the
swimming
dog better.
tanks. Yeah, not necessarily making it better, um
Stronger.
just from my own personal research to see what I could do, to see what it kind of endurance and what type of strength I could get out. What
Yeah.
could I produce by doing this? You know, and by making them swim harder. By
Using it to learn and observation, observate and learn.
Yep. Yeah, observation. Yes. Yes, that's the key. To be very observant when you're out hunting. Um I think that's another reason like I hunt a lot. I hunt alone a lot. Um because I want to observe and want to see. You know what I mean? I want to see what they're doing. I don't I don't want to be like, and even when I'm out with, like Marshall will tell you, I'm not really talkative a lot. Um
That you
like,
kind of
you
have
know,
to be quiet.
yeah, you kind of, you know, especially free casting, man. Them dogs get up in a tree, you hear like an echo. You might think it's to your left. And there's been times where Marshall or Robbie be like, nah, it's coming from over here. Well, yeah, then you get over there and you really realize, like, whoa, it is over there. I was way over here. I was wrong. So you got to kind of like listen, you know, when you're free casting, a little bit harder. And I tend to watch. Luckily, I Spade used to do something, and even he taught it to a lot of other ones, and he was taught by another dog that he grew up hunting with. Um, we called it the snitch bark. Like they would locate at a set, and they would bark at the set, and then when they seen you were within eyesight, they would shoot in the hole and go. Like they would just shoot straight in. And it was funny because a lot of guys used to ask me, man, how you get him to do that? I don't know. He did that. He does that shit on his own. He can't, like the dude that had him before me has a dog that does it. And that's where he learned it. And it was so I nicknamed it the snitch bark. He was snitching that there was something down that hole, and he was letting me know I needed to get there because he needed to do his job and I needed to do mine.
Yeah, Bear used to do that sometimes. He would
Yep.
like yip up for a good 10 seconds and enter pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I you know,
It's pretty cool
I
though.
guys ask me what I do of this and that, and brother, there's no real magic trick in what I do. There's no magic dust or anything like that. I got I got my locator. I got my collars on hand at all times and a grabs reach. You know what I mean? Like,
That's the question I want to get into in a minute.
hmm
Finish what you were saying. I don't
um,
want to cut you off.
nah, like cause like I might just get a wild hair up my ass, right? And I can't sit still. Um, I might just, I'm not really good with TV. I'm not good with technology. Um, so I like to stay out, you know what I mean? I like to be moving. So I just might go throw the box in my truck at 2, 3 in the morning, man, and go hunt and then go to work. So um it's like I just keep them out. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like just keeping them out. If you want, the more you put into them, the more you get out of them. And that
Yeah.
is a fact. I don't care what nobody else says, man. I don't care what the top breeder says or the backyarder breeder says. You understand? If you want to see the most potential out of your dog, then you need to get in the timber at every given possible time. Whenever you got free time, yo, you cut that dog. You know what I mean? Go out with it. You know what I mean? I don't care where it's at. Just if it's 15, 20 minutes. You can ask my girl. My girl's right back there. I used to come home from work, right? And cut these pups loose in these tunnels I made when they were puppies for 20 minutes a day. And man, by the time I knew it and they were ready to go, these dogs, you couldn't keep them out of the earth. Like, you just couldn't do it, man. They're like, and it was
But that was
all from just giving them 15, 20 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah,
all it
that's.
took.
I remember seeing the clips of that. That was some great school.
Nice little point. Nice little.
And those were my very first 2 Patterdales, bro. You know how much, listen, so, so look, this is funny, man. Because, man. I met a guy in these Patterdales, and he was one of the coolest, most knowledgeable men that I ever met in my life, right? And to this day, he's a very knowledgeable man. And he used to give me the most fucking flack about those tunnels. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
used to ride my ass about those tunnels and be like, that's just that how you do it, this and that. But then one time, me and him got along. He finally told me, he said, man, that was some good work, man. You put a lot of time and energy in them dogs. And it really was like, wow, damn, that's tight. You know what I mean? Like he recognized that was cool, you know what I mean? But um, I truly believe, man, from a
Mm-hmm.
time as a pup, if you stimulate the genetics that they have from a young age, stimulate it with like flirt poles, not necessarily letting them run in there and kill a fucking mouse. You know what I mean? That's these guys got that. What I truly believe is if you tease them and make them want it more and more and like build false sets, but put bait cages in there where they can't get to it, but they can get to it. And
Yeah.
it drives them crazy. It drives them crazy. It drives them crazy. And the more you do that as a puppy and give them stimulation, it opens genetics that dogs that just sit in a kennel and are let to age out and then say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, they're 2, 3 years old, they're ready. Well, yeah, they may be ready maturely, mentally, and they're ready to take, but they're really stupid. You let them sit around, they're fucking stupid. Like, you'll take these dogs out, right? And they'll walk side by side with you. And you're like, you have to give them a nudge here and there. You know, like, go ahead, dog. Like, get away from me. Like, I'm telling you, like, go. Like, go. Like, be a dog. Go. Go work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get away from me. I don't like that shit. And, I'll give it a few times. I'll give it a few times. One too many times, it won't become like you'll come to the house and you'll be, hey, what happened? Nah, I just didn't make it here. It went somewhere else. Whoever it went to, I don't know, but it didn't stay here. Eh, I look, a dog shouldn't be up underneath you. Not a hunting dog.
Yeah.
That's not. They're not. They're meant to search. Use their nose to search, to locate. Once they locate, they enter, they engage, they stick until dug. Once they're dug, that's up to the handler to choose what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally you're supposed to dispatch. That's what that's what you're taught. You know what I mean? From other guys that, some guys say dispatch, some guys say let the dog dispatch. It's all about the handlers. That's just my experience. Um, I
For
think
you,
I think I think that if you let a young dog try to dispatch too much and it takes too much stick and it ain't ready for it, you'll ruin them.
yeah, 100%. You can do
You
that.
know?
That's an easy
Yeah,
way to
you'll
fuck.
turn them. Yeah, you'll turn them. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Yeah, you'll turn them. You'll turn them. They might have been hard at that time, but they're definitely the one. Them motherfuckers are going to become a bay dog, or you're just going to have a mixer, depending on what level of mixer you have. depends on how much damage I believe it took. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And what it
it's
got
like
like. You know.
yeah, it's like
It's
managing
like
a prize fighter and letting your prize fighter get knocked out.
absolutely, bro. Absolutely. You can't take a kid and put him in there with a Golden Glove boxer and tell
Yeah,
this kid it's just and expect him to be like you're gonna get that you're gonna break that kid's spirit.
I was say mess them up
That kid
forever.
may train, but he's never gonna want to get hit again.
I mean, it's the same thing with. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing with anything you're doing with any breed.
Anything in life, bro.
Yeah, factory, yeah.
It's just it's no different than a child raising them to come up with to be strong, to be
Mm-hmm.
courageous, but also be a child. You know what I mean? Like live and learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
don't go
some
up
of
too.
those lessons are some don't grow up too fast. That's exactly. Now, me personally, I probably preach it better than I teach. I preach it better than I do it myself, because I'll take a dog out. You know what I mean? From a time it's like where like I feel as though it can start crossing the river by itself. You know what I mean? That depending on the level of pup. I mean, I've had them out 9, 10 weeks. 11 weeks old, just not out hunting, but just out accompanying hunts. Getting me crossing rivers, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah. Hold on one second, John.
okay.
It's an on-field practice makes perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect guys. It definitely does.
definitely. Do you use that? Do you use the locator for your lecture, Marshall?
No, I mean I don't use a locator. I sometimes use an e-collar to get him back if he end up bumping deer. Because if he bump enough whitetail in a spot, he'll be really tempted to push. Like it's kind of interesting that like he won't touch livestock, but if he sees a whitetail, if he thinks like I'm not gonna like get on him about it, he'll try and knock him over.
Willie?
Yeah, I mean, remember that one time me and you went digging and he bumped a deer. And I called him back and you just like you could have let him go for it. I was like, oh, I don't know, man. Like it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, that was that one up there. Yeah, that was that one that bolted along that fence line. I wanted to see that so bad. I was like, just let him go, bro. I know. I was like,
Yeah.
I want to see that chase. I was like, I was really into it.
Is there a forum the terrier men congregate on? I mean, just Facebook. Facebook's replaced all those kind of forums and those kind of pages and stuff. Like, when in doubt, just look for a terrier breed you want to learn more about and go on a Facebook group with it. I mean,
Yeah,
there's like 5 Patterdale Facebook groups, and like the majority of them are going to post the same thing and circle it.
just
So you
different times. Yeah, but I mean, we're the only ones doing the live thing. So on
exactly.
Wednesdays, if you want to learn more about the Patterdale, we're always here talking to, even if it's just me and Marshall talking. But normally we have someone we're talking to, a special guest we're interviewing. So yeah, there's a lot of different things, and there's definitely pages just on that, just talking about terriers in general, terrier man or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, as far as the Patterdale Terrier, yeah, we're putting out the most content and the most informational stuff, just doing these videos, and then of course we post on the page and stuff like that. But yeah,
Okay. So I know this is the New England. Is
Yes.
now okay. So are, are you guys branching a part of the PTCA? Is that a branch
Yeah.
of it?
we're
So you guys are
basically
like
a branch, a chapter. We call
a
it a
chapter.
chapter,
Okay, a
but
chapter.
basically a
Yes.
branch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
So
a chapter.
the New England Patterdale Terrier Club is the New England chapter of the PTCA, but
Okay.
it's also what we did with the New England Patterdale Terrier Club is it's also the Working Patterdale Registry. So where the PTCA, where you would register a Patterdale in general.
Correct.
The New England Patterdale Terrier Club, you would register your dog, but it would go down as a working Patterdale. But there's steps to that a
There's
owner would have.
different qualifications.
Exactly. There's steps you have to take to before you just, it's not just, oh, I worked my dog with some rats and it's a working
Right.
Patterdale. No, there's
Right.
steps you gotta take, and then a couple different people
Criteria.
gotta look at those steps, and then
Mm.
and if all those people agree that it's a real working Patterdale, then you'll go to, then you'll get registered as a real
Right.
working Patterdale. But yeah, that's just for the work. If you're just trying to regularly, register your litter, register your Patterdale, and you're doing whatever with it, that's the PTCA. But the New England Patterdale Club is what we're doing, where we're registering the working Patterdale, so we could keep file as well, the
Working
PTCA
terrier.
files as yeah, because it's not sectioned off. This way,
Right.
there's a section where this New England Patterdale Terrier Club, their registered dogs are all official workers.
There's your
So
working stock.
exactly. So again, if there's someone like, okay, someone that, we had Tsunami ask a couple questions as far as like breeding to working stock and work, where all our dogs in file would be workers. It would just be a
Right.
matter of which worker you like better.
It pretty much isn't a novelist dog. Like it's not like somebody just out there going and just do you own a Patterdale? Like you have to show qualifications on your hunts and all that stuff. Be with legitimate send, to legitimate guys that are out there working dogs that are judges.
Yeah, exactly. Like exactly. It's gonna get looked at by several people that work with the
Right.
PTCA and the New England Patterdale Terrier Club
It
before,
seems
you know
like
what I mean?
everything's come together nice, man. It seems like that group, the PTCA is really like, I mean, if somebody like that guy, like this gentleman just said, is there a forum? Is that what he said? I can't barely see, dog. Y'all gotta excuse me. It's like it's a forum, right? For terrier man. That's what he said, right? So like, so if somebody would, like, if he was to ask me that privately, if he shot me a message, I would just say, hey, bro, if it was me and I was just getting into it, I'd probably research the PTCA. That's where you're going to get your most information on the breed as a whole. Now,
Mhm.
are you going to get the working, like you're going to get a hold of guys that are going to give you all the information of like the working lines? Probably not. But you're going to get your feet wet enough to like you're gonna know about the breed. They're gonna give you great information about the breed. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's gonna put you in contact with people. It seems like that are gonna be able to get you more information about the breed. You know,
Mhm. And
and
like you just said right there, is if like you said, as far as the PTCA, if you talk to people, they might not be able to say when they talk, it's not going to be just working lines or any, you know what I'm saying? Like you just explained.
right,
But in the future, we're trying to make it to where if you contact from the New England Patterdale Terrier Club, where the
you
working dogs are registered, that's where you would get just the working
your
dog.
working information, right? Like these dogs are this stock, this, yeah, right. Got you.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know what I mean. So, in which just trying to do it right, and at the same time, like you said, that those might be two websites where you could go and read. But then again, we're doing this where again you could actually what Tsunami been doing is coming here asking questions, and she's talking to people that have
Learning.
exactly. But you're not sometimes it's a little funner and it's a little better to actually talk to someone. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just sit
Yeah,
there and
human
read all night.
interaction.
Yeah.
Human
Exactly.
interaction.
Yeah, human interaction always works. You know what I mean? Word of mouth always works. So
Yup.
here is where you could ask questions and learn about the Patterdale without just reading all damn day.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you think about it these days, man, like the world's connected, but the world's divided. Like a lot of people get on that internet, man, and you don't really know like how a person's personality is. You don't know if you should ask something or like, and I've kind of become like where I don't want people messaging me because they ask some stupid shit. And it's like, come on, man, are you serious? Like, you would really think that? Like, no way. But it's like at the same time, it's like, I don't want to respond to that. So I just don't respond at all. You know what I
What's
mean? It's
crazy
like,
about that too, though, is if it's somewhere like here where you could actually, if you could actually see them and get their vibe or something like that, you might take that question different.
differently. Correct.
You know
Yes,
what I
sir.
mean?
Yes,
That's
sir.
what's crazy
Yes.
about comments or text in general, where the
Yes.
energy might not be how you took it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, totally. We just had this conversation, me and another dog, man, on the internet. And it was actually really nice, man, because there was a little bit of confusion, you know what I mean, through a third party, which spilled into us. And I was like, he was like, man, just give me a call. I was like, cool. So I called him and like, I was like, look, I don't know nothing about that. You know what I mean? About that whole situation. I was like, I don't know anything about that. And apparently somebody took something wrong. So it was nice to be able to talk, you know what I mean? And hear each other and be able to feel the vibe of everything
Mm-hmm.
instead of, oh man, this and that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that dude responded right or took it this way or took it that way. So it's always nice to hear, to be able to talk and hear a voice and hear the emotional side, which way they're coming. Because I tell everybody, it's not about what you say, it's not what you say, it's how you said it.
Exactly.
You could
Yeah.
say anything. It's your tone and the way you presented it, and that could be disrespectful too. So it's like I'd rather talk to you than like go through this text message shit. Just give me a call.
Yeah. And that's
And
what's
then
good
this right,
about it.
yeah, and this right here is tight. I like this. This is pretty cool. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
at first I was apprehensive because I was like, man, I ain't no computer person. I don't know if I'm be able to. I don't even know if I can get on this thing. I was like, but let's give it a shot. You know what I mean? Marshall asked me. I was like, shit, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, and it
Yeah.
was easy to hop on, and we could also.
Yeah, yeah.
There's gonna be
And I
nights
think
where
it's
we.
pretty cool,
Where,
man. You know what I mean?
yeah, hell yeah.
I
And
think,
there's gonna
you
be.
know,
Go ahead, go
if you
ahead.
guys, if you ever want to, man, like yo, and y'all got this forum, you know, um, like a lot of these guys, and I know like a lot of people, there's a lot of guys that don't know how to use locators. It would be pretty cool to try to like if we set up some type of or you guys set up some type of demonstration, right? And kind of like gave like a demonstration on how to use them. There's guys that don't know how to read meters. They only know how to read feet. And
I mean, that's something we could do.
you know,
That's something we could do with you, bro. If you actually want to do it, like, no, I mean, because
no,
you
yeah,
actually
like
you pulled out the box, you pulled out the locator, you pulled out the collars earlier, you pulled out
yeah,
the locator box earlier. You where you're at, like right now, again, you could go out hunt tonight. Where we go to
right,
hunt, if we go hunt tonight, we're just sliding on ice, plain and simple. You know what I mean?
I
I
got
know
mine.
Marshall
yeah,
has them as well, but
I
you know
got
what I
mine.
mean. Like if put it like this, if we had had this conversation yesterday, we could have did that tonight because where you're at, you could actually go out and actually
and
physically
right,
show it real quick too, not just and not nothing crazy where you got to go out, but you know what I mean.
right.
Just
No, no, yeah, just a demonstration. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you know, and you know, Robbie Robinette, man, he's a good when I first got into these dogs, I didn't have locators, I didn't have all that. I trenched everything, you know what I mean? I
Yep.
I learned old school, Um and then I learned how to locate dogs without a locator. You got to trench, and then you got to, and Marshall will tell you, go get me a sapling this long. I need this, and I need it to be
Yep.
flexible, and this and that. And then you'll start twisting, and then these are little tricks that older guys I've hunted with taught me. You know what I mean? Um, Sometimes I know it sounds crazy, but I keep a fish tape with me for electrical, right? And I'll bend the end out, and I'll fish it up in there. And if I hit something, I'll start twisting it. And once you twist it up in that fur, you start yanking it back. You're either gonna yank that fur out of that at whatever it is, or you're gonna yank that shit back with you. You understand what I'm saying?
And
So
what was it you
you
said you used again?
I use a fish tape for electrical, fishing like electrical
Oh,
wire.
yep, yep, yep,
I
yep,
keep
yep.
one in my pack. Um, I think I keep a 25 footer in there. And then like I can always tape it to something if need be to make it a little stiffer and there's little tricks, but once you touch something, you got that little hook on the end. You start twisting that, man, it'll catch up in that fur. And let me tell you something. Fur in a hide is a lot tougher than what you think. It ain't just pulling out, you know what I mean? Like you can tug on it before it comes letting go. So, especially when you got a wad of it rolled up. And you can
Mm-hmm.
drag an animal out of a hole with that like that too. You know what I mean? Um
Little
now,
note. little notes.
You may want to make sure your dogs got control of the other end when it comes out.
Oh yeah.
But you know, but
Definitely.
um, you know, I don't know. We've been out on digs where a friend of my son, man, he has a fixation with grabbing badgers. So I don't grab them personally. I don't want to get bit.
That's
I
fair.
don't like getting bit.
Turn the skin.
So getting bit sucks, man. I hate getting bit. I'm like, God damn, man. And it hurts. So don't let nobody tell you, and I don't care nobody say, oh, groundhog don't hurt. I don't know if you was you or that guy Mike that I used to hunt with down in Maryland. I don't know. Was you with me when I reached down there in that hole and that groundhog snapped me in the hand?
Nah, I met up with you in between the time where you got bit by that opossum and you're freaking out about it.
Yeah, that bit through my thumb. That hurt like a son of a bitch.
Because people don't realize that opossums, they got that big, long, like fang, but no jaw pressure. But
No
those
jaw pressure, man. But
those,
hey, you know what's crazy about a possum? Those white and gray possums, they play dead fast. They just want to go act play dead, right?
Yeah, people say that
It's
all the
still,
time. They're easy.
yeah,
They
hey,
just play
but
dead and get killed.
you come up across one of those black and gray ones,
yeah,
hey, they fight. They'll give a dog a little bit of a run. And some of them got these big canines. One day I told Pebbles, I said, oh, you better look at that motherfucker ain't bite you. It'll bit your little ass in half. She kind of gave me this look like, yeah, right. I said, yeah, look at the canines on that big ass. But you know, possums are dirty, boy. I was hunting that one time, and Colt had found this dead cow, right? And it was moving all around and shit. And I'm thinking, like, what is wrong with that cow? Well, he kept like trying to get into it, and all of a sudden he went up near his butt, and man, next thing I know, this possum stuck his head out its ass, and Colt grabbed it by the face. Man, I couldn't get him off that nasty ass thing fast enough, man. It was covered in shit. Ah, man, I was
that's
pissed. I was like, motherfucker. I threw his ass in the, matter of fact, I threw his ass in the Big Elk River right in Maryland. I chucked his ass in there. He was
Yeah,
covered in
possums are
cow shit.
dirtier than coons and a lot of animals. It's
Yeah.
nasty.
Hey, but I'll tell you one thing about a coon, bro. People say, oh, they're clean. They wash their food. So why you say they're clean? They ain't got no saliva glands. That's why they do that shit. They got more bacteria in their mouth than man. Hell no. Oh
yeah,
man. People always say, "Oh, coons this, coons that." Coons are dirty.
yeah. I want to hear about your personal experience of coonhound paralysis. Like you dealing with that. Like let's because not a lot of people know how to deal with that. That shit catches people off guard. And like
Oh man.
let's just start off by like what is coonhound paralysis? What is it?
So I'm gonna speak from my personal experience
Yeah,
and what I call it. Coonhound paralysis is a bacteria that attack, or I'm gonna say a bacteria more than a virus, because um it it, it comes from my experience from big boar coons that they either one have broken teeth,
yeah.
and
That's
like
about
you got a lot of rot. Like when you see them, they got a lot of rotted teeth, and they're always covered in piss. Like like when my dogs have gotten it, I've gotten big boar coons, and it has a 14 anywhere from a 10 to 14-day incubation period before it really attacks the central nervous system. And the first signs of it, it'll sound like the dog's having like you know how like, you lose your voice,
yeah,
but the dogs start to lose their bark. It's like they get real raspy, like a pit bull, like "Ah, ah, ah,"
yeah,
and then like it's like they start losing it, and then they lose that, and then what they do is they lose motor control. Like
yeah.
either I've never had one lose complete, like where they can't use
I've seen some bad ones.
um like in my experience with my dogs, they've either been able to use their hind legs and not use their front, or use their front and not their hind.
Okay.
They'll
So it
eat
messes
the
with their nervous system.
Yeah,
central
it's like
nervous. It messes with their central nervous system. It tends to mess with the spine. It attacks the spinal system, the spinal cord.
Okay.
Um, the way I treat it is I treat it with a heavy steroid, and amoxicillin liquid. But I don't necessarily. This is just my study, and I have a friend that's studying it right now because there's not a lot of people there's not a lot of vets that are studying it, and I have a friend that's in Texas Tech, and he started doing some notes and then looking at all my research from my personal experiences with it, and he was amazed at all my, like, he was like, I can't believe you kept all these charts. And I was like, well, I had to, because I couldn't, like, I had to figure it out. But who really, really, really gave me the most knowledge about it was a man named Mr. Craver. Um, he's the one that turned me on to, like, kind of like how to treat it at first with the steroid, and then as I kind of did some more research through some guys that do that have that hunt, um literally just hunt coon with coon hounds, and they've experienced it when their dogs have been in the water, like, gotten into it with big boar coons. And I kind of threw the amoxicillin in there, but the amoxicillin that I use has something called sulfur sulfate in it, or something.
Yep. That's it.
I get sulfur sulfate. Okay, thank you. I think, and this is just again from my personal experience, I don't know if this is true or not, but I do believe it has something to do with that sulfur sulfate that is the key to helping them recuperate. But all of them that have gotten it do not bounce back muscular structure. Like, it tends to attack their muscle structure and make them look old. Like, like an older person that works out real hard, that used to be really, really, really big, they
Yeah.
lose all of it, but they continue to work out. So they got that structure look, but it's kind of like saggy and kind of like run down look. That's the way
Mm-hmm.
they get. And they get like this raggedy ass fur look, like their fur isn't healthy. And I don't care what you do. I like, I've done everything to get it back. And it's just, I think it's just something that's in the
Permanently
sickness
damages them.
that permanently damages them. And everybody that I've talked to that has encountered it, that's contacted me on how to treat it, has said the same thing. That their dogs do not bounce back physically, muscular structure. Like, no, it doesn't. It does something to the muscular tissue. And regardless of how much you do, they just never get that original muscle tone look back to what they were. It just, I don't know what it is. I don't know what to call it. I don't know, but I will find out because I continue to research it, and like, guys contact me all the time that it ends up getting it. You know what I mean? I tell them, like, another, when I do get a hold of a big boar coon, like with Ginger, she's had it twice, so I'm always
Anthro said
afraid.
he's dealing with it. Anthro said he dealt. I think his name Anthro or Anthro.
yeah. He
He
Yeah,
said
said he had a bulldog, got a coon, went through this, never got his skeleton meat back.
exactly, bro. Exactly. That's the best way to call it. That was a very nice way to call it, skeleton meat. That'd be like, yup. It's yep. It's skeleton structure. It's what it. Yep. Exactly. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, this is from Daenerys. So Daenerys, a guy I know on Facebook. He's got some good pats. So he says, that sucks, man. I had my best one just start to bounce back from paralysis. I'm sure he'll never be the same. His muscles are wiped. He's all bony.
He will bounce back. It's not he won't, but he
Yeah.
won't be that, like, okay. And that man just said, that man just told you in his comment
Yeah.
that he won't be the same. That means he sees his dog was a way that, you know what I mean, and it's not like he sees that it's changed structurally. So in that paralysis, He's seen it. He knows exactly what
Yeah.
what's so he understands. He will gain a lot back, just not all. He won't be that same structure as that you had before. Yes, he is going to be changed a little bit, but you can um I I don't know. I keep them out a lot, so their condition, like my condition, is different than a lot of other guys' condition. Not saying that anybody's different in conditioning, you know what I mean, or I do anything different. I just keep them out in the woods a lot.
Yeah.
So I haven't noticed. Excuse me. I haven't noticed that it does anything to them, endurance wise.
Mm.
Uh, but I have noticed that it does something to them structural wise. Like it is a different. You can tell 100% that it does something to them.
Anthro got a good question. Do you think he's wondering, and now that he said it, I'm wondering, does he think it affects their offspring? Or does it matter? Does it affect their offspring if it's from a male or female? Or if you think if it's the mother, it might affect their offspring. Maybe the
Someone just
I
asked a
think
similar
that
question. So,
okay. Let me answer it like this. I think that now let me back up before I let me back up. Let me back up. So I've been told, and I've done this, that hunting a female pregnant does something to the litter. And I don't know if that's true. It could be some batshit crazy idea. I don't know.
good.
But
Something to the
it,
litter
it
meaning bad.
no good. It opens genetics. It helps genetically. Like it does something like to stimulate the litter.
I mean,
To
I
like
I, I could believe that because they say that even with they say that with women. If you play music, it
music,
stimulates the
correct.
baby, all
Yes,
that type shit.
yes.
So I believe it.
Okay. So even
I
though I'm a
mean, don't
little
hunt them too late, but
no, like at the beginning, like
yeah,
through like certain things. Now, anybody knows once they get to a certain time, you're gonna pull them dogs. You know what I mean? But you want to
factor.
keep them out. You don't want you just don't want to let them sit in a kennel the whole pregnancy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it does something. Now, do I think that if that dog catches coonhound paralysis while pregnant? I think yes. I think there is a chance that it may
Nah, for
create.
sure, for
I
sure. I
think
would say,
I absolutely genetically I think it may cause a problem somewhere down the long line. Will you
yeah,
see it right
definitely.
away? I don't know. I don't have that answer for you because I've never bred one while in coonhound paralysis or had one catch coonhound paralysis while in gestation or have a litter. So I don't have that exact answer. But do I think? I think yes, it would cause an issue. Do I think after a dog? So Colt had a permanent shake in his leg, in his back right leg. Like if he stood still, his back leg would start tremoring, and it was like that was only after he had caught coonhound paralysis. Ginger, she has the same thing. I call it a quiver. She like you'll just see her out of nowhere like a person with Tourette's. Like they'll just have that like tick, you know what I mean? She's got a tick. Like she'll just quiver. Her whole body will tighten up and quiver. And it's like, and then she'll just stop and she'll just be, but she'll stop when she does it. It's
How
not like
long
she
does that
does it while she
happen?
runs.
Is it just a quick little?
Yeah, it's just like it like her like she shakes it off like you got out of the shower, you shook off real quick. It's like that quick and it's done. And then you'll see her,
That's like
you'll see her
seizures.
not
yeah,
really a seizure. It's not, it's like a
No,
muscle.
but I'm
It's all
saying
muscle, bro. It's like
that's like
it's
that
like
happens to people. That happens to people, or that happens to people after they have seizures.
after she correct,
If a
correct. Your
person
muscles
might, if a
ticks
person
happen.
have a seizure,
Muscle
they
stuff.
might have little ticks after the seizure.
Yes, yes. It creates something like that in them, is what I've seen.
Okay.
Um, but
Thing is, I
I
was
do
told
know.
should not breed them because of genetic.
yeah. So Daenerys basically has a male that got into it with some raccoons, and the dog ended up getting coonhound paralysis, and he's worried that if he breeds that male, that it could pass on those
Well,
kind of genetics.
I know my females had it twice.
Yeah.
Her litter came out. perfectly fine.
Yeah,
No ticks, no off the wall, like,
yeah.
I
you
would think
know,
it would. I would think if it was to affect the litter, something would. I think it would. I think it would
Speak
have
to the
to
female.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah, like he said, like if the female had it and she had some ticks and then had a litter, or the female, if the female caught it while she's pregnant, it's definitely affecting the litter because that's
definitely
just like
effectively.
anything else.
Yes,
If a female dog catches a fucking bad cold while she's pregnant, it could affect the litter.
effectively. Yes, sir. Yep,
So yeah,
exactly.
so I would assume that something like that, if they catch it while they're pregnant, is gonna affect the litter because I mean that's while they're pregnant. Now,
Right.
if it's something like she had it in February, it you know, whatever the case might be, it's gone or whatever, but and then she gets pregnant in July, but still has some type of ticks, maybe. Or maybe if it don't affect the whole litter, it might affect a few of the pups.
I know it affected my. I know it affected Ginger. I know it has affected Ginger's cycle. Since her last case of having it, um, she hasn't come back in the heat.
Okay. So it could
So
have
I don't,
fucked up
and I
something.
don't know if that's a, you know, contributing factor to that, or is she just getting older and
No, it
her
could have.
cycle,
It could have fucked up.
but it
You
threw
know
her off.
that
You know what I mean?
process.
Yeah. So I think that is one thing, but I do know, and I know for sure that more than likely, if you're going to run into coonhound paralysis, you're going to run into it if you get a hold of a big boar coon. That's. But I've also heard that you can also catch coonhound paralysis through other quarry too, not just coons. You know, possums carry it. Possums will not carry rabies though. Their body temperature doesn't get high enough.
Now, do you think that's something because maybe? I mean, maybe I don't know how much possums encounter coons, but do you think it's maybe that animal encountered a coon with it?
I think it comes from bacteria infested water.
and broken canines probably.
Broken can. I think what happens is that the animal only
So it's
has
in a lot of
a
different
set.
animals. They just call it coon.
Yeah, they just call it, well, because coons. Well, I think
Have
what
it
it
the
is
most.
coons.
Wash
Well,
themselves
because
off the water.
they utilize water more to eat. They have to have a water source. So their water source is anything wet. Like if it's a puddle, a stagnant pond that doesn't have
Yeah.
moving water, like they're just dipping it to get it wet so they can get it down their throat because it's like their mouths are dry, like sticky. So it's not something easily like so they have to constantly keep stuff wet. So you got all the bacteria and infection, and then I think what happens is they bust those canines off or any tooth and expose that marrow, and that bacteria gets set in that bone marrow,
Mhm.
and it's just a festering. You know what I mean? Just a whole pool of bacteria in that mouth, and then you know. Once a dog is bitten and it does make blood contact, the saliva enters the bloodstream, it's already there. The infection has already occurred. Now you just have to wait and see how long it's going to take the month from running its course.
Now, does that occur in a lot of coons, like where you're at in the forest, or is it more like a city type coon thing?
It can happen anywhere, man. I feel like
Anywhere.
anywhere.
Anywhere. I don't think there's one more place than the other. Um,
Okay.
I do think that you're gonna find it around a lot more heavy areas with more stagnant water, more water that's standing, like not nothing that's running, like where they have access to like these fucking drainage ponds where these fucking geese shit all over the place and turn them green instead of like I think like stuff like that, like they had only access to stuff like that where there's a breeding ground of bacteria.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It was crazy when I heard that you got it in New Mexico, and I had a friend who dealt with it in Maryland. That's when I
Yeah,
knew
it's all
it's
over.
all over.
You
Yeah,
know, it's nowhere. Just I don't. I don't actually think any. I don't actually think any one part of the nation has it more than the other. What I do know is you got to watch them skunks because I
Oh yeah.
think I know I forget what the number is here, but I know it's a certain population which is very high are rabies carriers. They carry the virus, right? Um, but they can transmit it, but they won't show it. So you got to watch that. So when I get on like if the dogs locate on skunks, I try my hardest to get them up and out of there quick. I don't let them try to mess with no skunk.
Yeah, that and you just you just don't want to get them sprayed. I had a couple of dogs that
Uh,
got sprayed with skunks. That's the fucking
There are
worst.
a lot of skunks in Massachusetts. There are a lot of skunks in
Lost a
Pennsylvania.
lot of dogs to
Oh
skunks.
yeah, they're everywhere around here.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
so check this out, fellas. A skunk, right, can asphyxiate a dog within 6 to 10 seconds of a full blast inside one of those inside of a den. Okay,
Yeah.
it can asphyxiate your dog so quick. What it does is it if and I don't know if you've ever been sprayed by one, but I've experienced.
I've not had dogs that got sprayed and ran right up to me after type shit, but I've never been sprayed. But
Okay,
I've had
so
dogs that got sprayed and it was
yeah, that's just as bad. So,
yeah.
so skunk when they so what their spray does it sets off the mucus glands. So you start to asphyxiate on mucus, on snot. You pretty much fucking drown on your own snot. And that's what happens to the dogs. They asphyxiate on snot and they just can't breathe. A dog can only, they lose their nose, they're pretty much fucked.
Yeah, it makes sense because when you see them get sprayed bad in the face, they're all fucking
Oh
drooling and
man.
snotty and
And
Yeah, I
I
mean,
had one of my female Scarlet, if she got sprayed, she would attack you, man. She was bad, man. She was like turned into an evil little dog. Another friend of mine, Robbie's, he had a little dog named Eve. She got sprayed. You better not go nowhere near her. She'll chew you up. It's like it makes them hallucinate or something.
oh, we
Yeah,
got
it's the wild.
Shahib. He said he hunted his dog while she was pregnant and the litter came out
See what I
on
mean? See what I
and Bella
mean?
did as well. They both was early. It was in early stages, of course. But yeah, he said they both came two. I guess so. Two different dogs, two different litters, and he hunted them with both. He hunted with both from early stages, and the litter pups came out on fire. So
And shit,
you
he
know,
keeps most of his pups. Golden Biggs. I call him Biggs. Biggs keeps
mhm,
most of his pups. So he's not, and so he's gonna know what percentage of dogs he's got, what he likes out of those litters too. You know what I mean?
mhm.
He's not taking other guys' opinions. He's like working them himself, him and his kids. You know.
Yeah, I know he
So
keeps pups for
yeah,
sure.
he's gonna know his dogs. You know what I mean? And plus, he's had that line. I think that's what he started with, and then he got with Mr. Park and added Mr. Park stuff a little bit. This was an outcross, I believe, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken,
that's a
which really,
fire
like,
ace.
you know what I mean, really clicked, I believe. It clicked, which gave him a really good start.
Giardia, I think you meant to say Giardia. At least you spelled it weird. Yeah, Giardia usually isn't stagnant water. Raven, I was reading your question earlier.
Hmm.
It said last week y'all mentioned a digging bar. Could a digging bar be used to give air to a dog skunked underground? Yes, it can with the right amount of timing, but you gotta be real sharp on that shit. But you don't really use digging bars a lot, Tim, do you at all?
What is it?
Digging
So,
bars.
so Raven said that could a digging bar be used to give air to a dog who got skunked underground? Like I said, if you had a digging bar and you knew the dog got
Hmm.
skunked, you started smelling it, could you use that digging bar to kind of pop a hole near where that dog's at to give him air
Oh,
through?
an air hole.
Yeah,
Yeah, a breathe hole. Yeah, I mean, hey, that would, let me tell you, if you could do that and like really like pinpoint and get that digging bar to puncture that
yeah,
because you never know. You can smell a skunk. Look, if there's air moving through part of the set, you're gonna smell it strong, because it just blasted. Now, if you can pinpoint how deep it was, and you could sink that digging bar down in there to break a breather hole open in there like that, man, yeah, you're giving the
Without
dog a whole
without
lot more
without
chance.
without killing your dog on accident.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You got to be like, you got
Yeah.
to really have some confidence. You know exactly where that dog is at. I
You got
mean,
you got to have a
unless you got a
pinpoint.
locator on it.
Yeah, a
I mean,
locator
and then
and a
you
foot
got to
head.
know, yeah, you got to know where it's at with the locator and then
Yeah.
go for it.
Still gotta be
But
accurate.
just trying to, yeah, you got to be accurate. You know what I mean? You can't just go shoving that through there. You know, liable to puncture that dog. But,
Go slow.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen guys cut dogs' toes off
through the digging bar or for shovels.
with shovels, just digging to like not
Being
like you be
wild.
like, okay, man, look, not being able to read that damn locator.
Yeah,
Guys forget, you know, a meter is 3.3. That point three means something. Like it's not just there for nothing, you gotta
yeah.
add that up, like, you know, it's like, come on, man, like watch yourself. You're getting close to that dog. Like, do you know that? And they're like, no, I don't. Like, yeah, well, you gotta read that. That's not in feet, man. Like, yo, you might hit that dog. Relax. Don't go shoving that whole blade down in there. You
When we
know,
first got to
you
the
might have to
peeps
get down there.
locator,
Look how many times, Marshall, I've gotten down and dug the rest of the hole out by hand.
yeah,
You
off a
know,
fucking
like,
dog
cause I'm
bowl.
like, whoa, 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 don't cut there. Like, hold on, like the locator saying is right there. Like, move it. Let's bust the dirt out, and then we'll go from there. You know what I mean?
Make
Um,
sure. Better
yeah, you
safe
don't
than
want to just go
sorry.
hurt your dog. You know what I mean?
What's it say? Tsunami. Who did you get your dogs from? And if you had to start over, who are some of the
Reputable
reputable
Patterdale guys hunting. Yeah.
Patterdale guy hunters?
Um, if I had to start over, I'm pretty much starting over now anyway. That's
Yeah.
I'm
So
saying. Um,
who are some of the
um, I'm saying
reputable?
I'm gonna. Okay, I would go to there's some guys that I mess with out in California. They're good guys. Um, Pretty much really like I accept dogs. Um, from some of the guys in Kansas, you know what I mean? Those guys got some really good dogs. Um, Probably RC1 kennel, or I don't even know if that's a kennel, but I know RC1, which is
I
Mr.
know that.
Craver.
Yeah.
Um, he got some really, really good, like Mr. Craver. You get a dog for him, you're blessed. You're very blessed. Um, and you're gonna get a high quality dog. You're gonna get a quality dog. Um, you go to the Fulfords, you're gonna get a quality dog. Um, those are guys you're gonna be able to reach through like the mainstream. Like, there'll be more access to them. But then there's guys that are like really like underground. You know what I mean? Like that you're not gonna really hear about unless you're out with guys hunting and kind of be inquisitive, and you get into that, like, the clique. You know what I mean? Where like
Get into that world.
everybody stays kind of like exclusive to that little clique. You know what I mean? That's how it seems to be. Um, I don't really think there's like one group that has the best dogs or anything like that. Like, again, I think it's all about, you can go through 5 or 10 breeders and not like anything you get, and then just find that one, and that's the style of dog you like, and you just stick with it, and that'd be who you either one get enough dogs from to start your own stock to where you can just not have to worry about if something happens, but you know where it started from. You seen it, you worked behind it, you like that style. um to just
Yeah.
get lucky, I don't think you're just going to get lucky. I don't think you're just going to go buy a Patterdale and just get lucky.
Yeah. This guy's Tsunami just said, "What is an acceptable price for a pup since they are very expensive?" I would disagree and say Patterdales are not expensive. I think the most you end up paying for a Patterdale is $1,000 in the grand scheme of things. And now,
Especially if you're comparing them to just
yeah,
comparing them to fucking buying a bird or a ferret, yeah, they might be expensive. But comparing them buying dogs, no, not at all.
So that's a tricky question, man. That's a
it's
tricky question. Everything. That's a really tricky question, man, because what I might consider a high price, another man might not. He might consider his stock worth that. You understand what I'm saying? I may not think, I may personally not see it as being worth that. You understand what I'm saying? Um, when I have a litter of pups and I'm going to let something go, I let it go for exactly what I paid for my first Patterdale, $500. Any man should be able to pay $500 for a dog, a good working stock bred dog, and be able to say, you know, hey, I mean, think about it. Let's see. Let's think about this.
Mm-hmm.
I call you, Wood. How you doing? And you say,
Yep.
how you doing, Tim? I'm saying, Wood. I heard you sell good dogs, man. You have really good dogs. I'd like to purchase a dog. And you say, okay, no problem. This is what I got. You show me a litter of pups, and you say these pups are $1,200. One, I have $1,200 already into a pup, right? I still have to get shipping, which is now anywhere from, like, guys are charging anywhere from 5 to 7 to 800, okay, depending on where you call and where you're located. So now I'm already into like 1,800 to 2 grand into a puppy that hasn't even got to me, showed me anything about working anything. You understand? So I'm already invested in $2,000 into this dog. So
Mm-hmm.
now, let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest, okay? We have $2,000 into that dog. The average working man, right, has to motherfucking save up $2,000 because he has a family. So his family comes first. He has all these other responsibilities. So his tail end of what he gets to save is going towards that dog, right? He
Mm-hmm.
purchases it for $2,000. He gets it out there. The dog won't go to ground. Dog won't do this. Dog won't do that. Do you think that more than likely that man is gonna motherfucking bought a dog that has a great pedigree, got this paperwork that's like, fuck, man, you can't get no better on paper. You understand what I'm saying? Do
Yeah.
you
Yep.
think that man's gonna call that dog and take those papers and trash them, or you think that man's gonna breed that dog and post that pedigree and say I got pups off of this right here? I think that man gonna try to recuperate his $2,000 because if he takes that dog down to the
Mm-hmm.
creek bottom and it don't come back, his wife is gonna have $2,000 worth of problems with his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. We
Got
all
cut.
know it.
This-
Straight up. And that is where you have to choose what you really are, like, what you're looking for. Are you looking for the guy that has that dog that isn't pretty, that doesn't have all the paperwork that, like, states this and this and this and this, but you go out and you see this dog do everything, everything that you expect a Patterdale to do,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna get that dog. You know what I mean? Like, the other guy is gonna sell those dogs because he paid all that money for them. You know what I mean? He's not gonna care. He's gonna be like, man, I need to recuperate this money, man. I can't. Man, I'm not. Look, $500, a man could, and after, like, you know, shipping, you paid 1,000 total for the dog. Okay, you're $1,000. Like, dog was 500, your $1,000. You know, put your time and money into it, and then you don't see nothing out of it. Yeah, it's $1,000. You lost it. You know what I mean? Had a dog fixed, give it to a home, do whatever you do to cull it. You know what I mean? Just don't breed it.
Yeah.
Like, don't go breeding it. You know what I mean? And just, oh, I paid all $2,000. I got to come up with this money. My wife's gonna snap. Well, you shouldn't have got that. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have paid that much money for it. Like,
Hindsight 2020.
yeah, you got to do some research. Get out with the person that's breeding the dog and really get out. Don't, like, when I bought Colt, right? Curtis invited me out. Him and Randy invited me out to hunt. Um, Not the very first, not when I picked Colt up, but they told me, hey, when he gets old enough, like, you're more than welcome. We'll get a hold of you. You get a hold of us. We'll go out and hunt. See, that's somebody that okay, this person gonna take me out, hunt, experience with me, show me what. That's somebody. Okay, bang. And then plus Curtis had enough videos on YouTube. You knew that his dogs were crazy enough.
But Curtis didn't work solo dogs. He worked multiple dogs at a time. That was just the way Curtis worked. You know what I mean? When I was with him, he used to get my ass all the time because I tell him, man, we don't need to work all these dogs. So, but that's how Curtis started a lot of young dogs. He always had young dogs up and coming. You know, so he always kept young dogs out, and I enjoyed going out and doing that with Curtis, man. I miss Curtis a lot because as rough as he was a good dude, man. If you got to know him, like really sit down and get to know him, he knew his shit. Um, he could talk some shit. He could be ignorant. He could. He could talk the shit. He could talk some shit with the best of them. But if you really sat down with Curtis and like got him to really start talking dogs and breaking it down, he was very knowledgeable and he knew his line. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, a lot of people, will badmouth that line or say that that's that they weren't like this or that because he didn't solo hunt solo, but he had enough dogs out there that he spent enough time with them dogs. He knew what he had. You know what I mean? And a lot of guys, a lot of guys have had him, really like him if you really sit down and talk to him. Like, what you think about that roughneck? Oh man, that was a good dog. That dog died, man. Like, in the ground working. Yeah, most of them have. You know, um, but that's the controversy on anything, I guess. Just like anything. I think Marshall. How many times we talked about dogs that people told us were trash, and I was like, well, I never worked behind none of them. I never, and the ones I have, like if I did work behind, like I think Mr. Park just asked me a question about a Vetzel dog,
Yeah.
right? Okay, I really enjoyed the Vetzel dog that I like. Now, um, um, Mr. Park always jokes like this is I really like Mr. Park, man. Mr. Park's a good guy, man. Very good guy. And when people ask me about dogs like down near Florida, I instantly Mr. Jamie Park, man. Contact Mr. Jamie Park. Um Mr. Park's always joking about he has a son. He has a dog for my son. And when I was in Florida, I really wanted to get down to meet Mr. Park, right? And I wasn't able to. And it really bummed me out because I was like, damn, I wanted to see, I wanted to meet him, you know what I mean? So, but I've, the Vetzel dogs that I've encountered have always been like very stand-up dogs. Like I've never been able to say nothing bad about them. Um, have I personally owned one? No. And I don't think I would own one from anybody unless it came from Biggs or Mr. Parks himself. That's the only way I'd own a Vettel dog, because those are only two people besides the guy that I hunt with here that I've personally been behind.
Okay.
And that's what I would say. I'd stand on that. Mr. Park breeds a good dog. What I've seen, he breeds a really good dog. You know what I mean? But I think Mr. Park has actually gotten more into a cross now with a Yard Terrier and
He likes
Yard
that
and
JoJo.
Patterdale, right? Like a
He,
50-50 cross or something. He's experimenting with or something.
With the Yog in the Patterdale?
I
yeah,
believe so. I believe so. Hmm.
he's got those little crosses that he likes a lot. He likes the little like he uses this really good line of dogs called JoJo dogs. He's
Hmm.
brought a little JoJo male over some of his pets. He's had some really
Have
cool.
you guys ever had a dog or been around a dog or hunt with a dog that was half pat, half Yog?
I think I did because I had a friend who got patted up from Amish, and I think that dog was half Yog. Just the way he looked and how he moved and stuff.
Is
I
that
think.
the one that ran off on the horse farm that you had?
Um, this one was a guy who came around at me a couple times, and he
Um,
lived in Illinois, and he came visiting me.
that
It
was a
was,
yacht got away from us that day, right? That took off when we got
oh
that
yeah,
fox in the side of the hill with Dyson.
yeah. I mean, that was also me. Just like I got a Yog that I coned with someone for a while after getting into Pats, and I just figured it was the same fucking thing as Pats. I wasn't used to dogs that just get out there and just book it.
Hell no, he took off on our asses. He was gone.
He was
I
gone.
was like, I said, yo, I couldn't believe it, man. We located in the ground. I'm like, Marshall, where'd that dog go? He said, bro, I don't know. I
No,
Said
she
what?
went up the road. Someone
Up
found her
the
collar, called the number, met me up the road. I ran
Yup.
back downhill.
And you got
As
her.
Joseph just like getting his face turned into fucking hamburger meat by this fox in a hole.
Oh my God, yo, that was and it was frozen. It was cold. Oh, I hated digging that hill.
Oof.
That was terrible.
I hate the cold.
Yeah,
God.
Yog's different.
Yeah, that was terrible. And that yard took off. Marshall was so frustrated with that dog. He said, "Man, that dog took off." I said, "Oh my God!" And we was on like it wasn't like we were actually like on the property of like where they hold $1 million horses, like race horses. You know what I mean? Like thoroughbred. And I'm like, we don't know if this dog's gonna go on one of these horses. We don't
Bites
know
some
what.
fucking ankles. That'd be a
Like
bad hit.
I'm like,
She was
oh
wild.
my God.
She did some
Luckily,
wild shit.
luckily, a handler, a horse trainer found her. It was a girl, wasn't it?
Some girl
Or
just
was it?
pulled. I don't know. Some girl
And
pulled up the car and it was just gave her right back to me.
yeah,
But
just get it right back to you.
I eventually
Yep.
put a handle on that dog. But like the issue with that Yog was that even when I had a handle on her, she wanted to cut a half mile forward and then come all the way back. But at the same time, I feel like she just did that shit. I mean, I'm not trying to just put down Yogs completely because part of this was me just not fucking knowing what I was doing off the
Hey,
rip.
the only thing that I'd say bad about a yard terrier is they have no off switch, and
Yeah,
like you better be like like from what I've experienced, the males are super dog aggressive.
yeah,
Like
they can be sharp.
they're yeah they'll go on another dog in a minute. Like so I'm like, and some people tell me you can break them. I've never seen one break from doing it. I've seen, holy shit, man. This one dude, man, lit into this one man with a shot collar. I was almost to the point to tell the dude I felt bad for the dog. Like at first, I was like, God, I hated that dog, man. It was like, but he laid on that electric on that dog, and that dog didn't, man. I'm telling you, that dog took some punishment, bro, and it just kept going. I was like, holy shit. I was like, yo, I was like, he aggressive like that all the time. He was like, I was like, man, you would never be able to work that dog with another dog. Could you imagine being out somewhere? Now think about this. Imagine being out hunting and hiking and accidentally bumping into somebody on public property, out hunting or like hiking with their dog, and that dog jumping their dog. Man, you would be in a mess.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy Morris, the person, the older woman I went hunting with, she told me a story about how she had her Patterdale and 2 Lurchers, and they got off from a farm, and like 2 days later, she got her Lurcher back from the farmer, but she never got her Patterdale back. And then 5 years later, the farmer confessed that like he saw that Patterdale grabbing one of his cats and just shaking it. So he walked up in a rage and just stomped the dog, just like out of defense, because like he just saw a small dog savaging one of his animals. So like he's off the rip, he responded.
Yeah, I mean,
Actually, you actually told a story earlier about porcupines.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
You
yes,
wanna
Anthor just said ask our guest if he has any porcupine encounters. I remember
Shit.
seeing little videos of you doing some crazy porcupine encounters. What was it, Herman? No, Herman or Booger?
So I had to. So me and Curtis. So this is actually crazy. So Curtis and my first porcupine experience ever was with Curtis, and I had gotten Spade had located a coon in a tree, and it jumped out. It like jumped out of the top of the tree, and Spade ended up coming back down around the way he went in, and he took off. And we thought he had gotten on this coon. Where the coon went, I don't know. But all of a sudden, I heard him yelp, and I ain't never hear him yelp. And I was like, "What the fuck?" Excuse me, sorry. I was like, "Yo, what the hell?" I was like,
are you
and I
good?
was like,
Wait a
I
minute,
told Curtis, I said, "Yo, did he just yelp?" And he came flying out of the hole, right? And his head was impaled, man. Like he looked like Pinhead. His whole face, mouth, everything was covered. And I
Yeah,
was
that
like,
happened to Boom.
instantly, I was like, what the and Curtis was like, get him. He's going back in. And I was like, grabbed his back legs and I yanked him. Well, so Curtis was like, Curtis had it. So Curtis had a dog named Brawler that was red. Do you remember him?
Yeah, I remember Brawler.
Okay, so Brawler was like renowned, man. He was like, if there was a damn porcupine there, he was gonna destroy it. Well, he went straight in there and grabbed that porcupine. And I was like, oh my God, look at how much he chewed it up. Spade had every quill on the ass end of that porcupine in his head. So Brawler just went straight in, grabbed it, and broke its spine and pulled it out. Still had some quills, but me and Curtis had to put Spade to sleep on the back of his tail. I got pictures and a video of this actually. And yo, we pulled out over 100 and some odd quills. I was like so tired of pulling out quills, man. I didn't know what else to do. So I had to keep putting him to sleep with ketamine shots, with quarter ounce, or just quarter cc shots of ketamine, and
Yeah,
just getting to where as though. And man, it took me like hours, man, to pull all those quills out. Oh, that was the
Yeah,
worst.
100 plus, and they're not just popping out easy.
No, not. And hey, people say use needle nose pliers. I I had the worst luck because once the handles of needle nose pliers get like bloody, they become slippery. The best thing that I've ever used to pull quills are medical forceps. You know how because they click and you can get them on there and then click them locked shut,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just put a little bit of pressure at a time, and as soon as you feel it give just a little bit, yank it. But don't go just pulling it real fast because they got those reverse barbs. You got to kind of like, wiggle them a little bit. You got to finagle them. Um, Now, another way I put them to sleep because I forgot I forgot some things out of my medical kit. I've had to put them to sleep with Benadryl.
damn. I mean, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like,
Like
I,
liquid
I
Benadryl?
Huh?
It have to be liquid, right?
Yeah, I shoot it down their throat.
Yeah, you would have to because the
You
capsules
can't.
are
Yeah,
not gonna
you
work.
can't get it. You can't get now. You won't be able to get a capsule down their throat. They won't be able to chew. So what I do is
Now I don't know, especially if there's pines in there, fucking low.
what I do is I'll take a block and I'll put in between their teeth in the back and keep their mouth open, and then put like a tie off to where it keeps the mouth just like tight enough on that block, and I'll start in the front, and as I do it, I'll turn the block and get it like it spaces like that, and it keeps their mouth open. The hardest part is getting a pair of long enough forceps down in the back of their throat. If they got it, like if they're a dog that pushes everything to the back of their throat,
Yep, yep.
it's like motherfucker, because now they're in the back of their throat. And the thing about porcupine quills is they continue to grow through. They don't ever grow. They don't ever grow like scar tissue around them and then grow back out. They always grow through. So Herman had one grow through the roof of his mouth and through the side of his cheek and up through his eye, and it came out. And another one came out through the top of his head. Um, I actually think that was one of the reasons he developed cancer. And I don't know if that's a fact or not, but it seemed like that eye that he had that quill grew up through. We couldn't. Even the vet told me that the eye itself probably would encase it and like make a hard knot around it.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't. It kept growing through, and then it caused some type of bullshit.
Infection time.
Yeah. So it caused
yeah,
me a lot of issues, man. So I had to put him down. Um, it just became bad. So, you know, when you hunt these dogs, you also got to take you have to take in the account of the medical and the proper medical care after they're out there hunting and shit. You can't just,
Mhm.
hunt them and then not treat them,
yeah. I mean, the tsunami guy gets asked, like, what do you like to wash up with after hunts? Is it betadine, peroxide, or staple
I
guns
use
and stuff?
um I only use staple guns if like, you have to watch what you staple. You don't want to go stapling dead tissue back to,
Yeah,
back
I've seen
together.
crazy pictures of stuff people doing that shit.
Yeah, that should have caused a lot of infection and a lot of problems. Um, I use a couple different products. Here, I can grab a couple of them. I use, excuse me, I use something. Did Marshall, I don't, did I give you a bottle of this Oxy Wash?
Yeah,
I did, didn't I?
yeah.
So I use something, I use a couple different things. This is my med table over here. It's a little messy right now, so I'm gonna go show everybody. Oh man, these kids done broke my fucking bottle.
Bub's
Man.
getting into your shit.
Yeah, man. Out there talking about ginger needs this and ginger needs that, man. Like, man, messing my shit up. So I'm big on eye care after a hunt. Um, this is something that I think every dog man should have in their medical pack. I know it's hard to come by for a lot of guys now. Because
Eye spray.
this is okay. I'm sorry. Let me get back to this. So so I'm sorry, Tsunami, if I'm saying that correct. This is what's called an oxy wound wash. This is a product that a friend of mine has a veterinary supply company and he owns a vet, so he's a veterinarian. And he makes this. This is actually made for cattle, for out on the prairie and out on the ranch care. It's really, really good stuff. Um, it's really hard to get.
Do you have a
I'm actually
comparison?
blessed to get it. Huh?
Do you have like a Tractor Supply comparison to that people could probably get?
Yes. I was just. Thank you for asking me that
And
because I was trying to say
I don't
I
know
actually
the
have another wash.
I don't know the actual name of it, but I know there's a few of them you could get just online
I
or
mean, I use Blue Coat, but I don't count Blue Coat like that because Blue Coat will dry stuff out too.
Okay, so yeah, Blue Coat will. No, you have to watch Blue Coat because
Yeah.
if the what I've learned, Blue Coat will actually, like you said, will dry out will dry a wound out and will cause it to die. I use this a lot too. It's this is they sell this at Tractor Supply. They do this is a Tractor Supply. You can get this, and you can
Yes.
get this from any they said if you guys have a if veterinary supply center that sells to like local farmers or cattle. Do you guys have dairies there?
Like dairy, yeah, there's definitely dairy farms near where I'm at.
yeah.
Okay, so Marshall, right? If you guys like, that would be something you could like go and sell to these dairy farmers, right? Um, you need to ask them. This is how I got into it. Okay, so a friend of mine was talking about. He was like, "Man, I'm dealing with these parasite in this cat in these cattle, right?" He was like, "And I've never seen it before." Well, New Mexico really didn't have a high population of coons. If you ask anybody around here, they'll be like, raccoons. New Mexico ain't got no raccoons like that unless you go up into like sequoias, up in the mountains, not where we're at, okay? But then you'll hear a lot of people say, yeah, you go to the dairies, and these be all the dairy workers. They be like, and they don't talk to nobody. You gotta remember, they're a different breed of people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and especially at night, okay? So oh no, you see, they got these little things. They look like bears. I'm like, bears. This is when I first, and this is when I first got, and when I first learned about the dairies. So I said, what do you mean bears? They like, yeah, they look like little bears. They got masks. And I was like, raccoons? Said like, yeah. So I went to my boy and was like, yo, you got raccoons out there? He said, yeah, everybody keeps saying we got these little things, little bears. He said, I got game camera. They said they're raccoons. He was like, I told him just pop them with the 22s. He was like, but man, he said, yo, our cows, we've gotten some cows and they've gotten this crazy ass parasite. And I was like, what? So I started saying to myself, I said, damn, I wonder if those coon getting up in that feed, they shit and eat at the same time, they're dirty. So I was
Or
like,
drinking the
those,
water, like you said, fucking with
well,
the water.
it's what it's happening is we figured it out. They get okay during the summer days. They get up on top of what's called maize, and the they pull this white plastic across the maize, right, and they encase it, and they let it ferment, right, and they put these tires on it. And during summer, they got this plastic sheet on there, and they just pull it back as they need to, and they take big ass tractors, big like front end loaders, and
Mm-hmm.
scoop it, right? Well, the raccoons are up there during summer season digging for grubs. Okay, these little grubs that grow in that shit. And then
Mm-hmm.
they're scatting over it. Well, then it rains or like humidity, whatever, it leaks in and it causes a problem. Or they get into the corn flakes, the cracked corn, and they get in there and they do the same thing. Well, then these guys, they're not getting out of these tractors and seeing what they're scooping. They're just
Nope.
scooping massive amounts. Well, then over time, they're mixing all this feed and these cows eat it and they catch this parasite. Well, the vets are like, what the fuck? They're like, they couldn't figure it out. So um one day we were out there and I was like, I bet you it's that coon shit. Look at all that coon shit in that food. And my man was like, that's what that is? I was like, yeah, what you think? It was owl pellets? He was like, I don't know what it was. And I was like, that's coon shit. And I was like, look at all them berries and all that. I said, and out the dairies, they have a lot of what's called pe- peanut hay. It's like where they process peanuts and then they roll up the growth or like hay or whatever the fuck they whatever it is, but it's peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
And the coons love this shit. I'm talking about it's like you want to find coon, man. Shit, drive. I don't care what the fuck, man. Listen, we could hunt coon, right? Kill 3 coons, bag them up, back the truck up, shut it off, kill the lights, wait 30 minutes, turn the lights on. I guarantee there'll be 25 coons sitting right back there where we just hunted them. No bullshit.
That's crazy.
It's crazy and doesn't. You got the wrong dog. Gets down those bales on too many of them. It's grass because they'll attack the dog all at the same time. They'll gang up on it. So you gotta have a dog that's smart and gets one but like singles them out. Like that's what Ginger does. She singles them out. Like the other night we was on one. She singled one out. Got up to like say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So we were like, so those bales are 6 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, 4, yeah, 5. Well, I'm 5'5", so they're a little bit taller than me. So they're up to my shoulder. So fucking, they're about 5 foot. You know what I mean? So you gotta jump up there. So 5, 10, 15. It's like 25 feet up. And we had one, and she was fighting at the top. So I just went ahead, you know what I mean, dispatched it real quick. And Bubs was happy with that. And then we went to another dairy, and as soon as we let her out, she got one. We was
Right.
so the dairy's like. But the dairy is a test on them. You know what I mean? Because there's so many of them. You can't, they got to separate them and really get a hold of them and hold them.
Yeah,
But
you told me a story one time of a dog that kind of like basically knocked you out at a dairy.
that was that damn, okay, so that was a roughneck kennel dog, this dog named Axe. So, okay, so, so what happened, man, I was out like a light, bro. I'm
Yeah.
talking about I was out like a light. I woke up seeing stars. And the dog was up again, like looking at me like I was crazy. Um, what happened was there was these coons on top of this maize pile, and they were probably about 15 feet, right? And he was up there, and he was like, he had never been on a dairy, he had never been hunting like with lights or anything, so he was like, it was all new to him. And I'm not making no excuse because his ass had to go, but um he was like acting like he was like stutter stepping, like he just didn't want to engage all the way, right? And all of a sudden this coon was like snarled and jumped at him. And man, he didn't go stage right. He went stage left, and that left was straight off the cliff and into my face. Man, he hit me in the forehead so hard, bro. He dropped me, dog. Like, yo, I was I was down and out. I smelled like cow shit. I was pissed. I had a hickey. It broke my headlamp. Oh man, it fucked me up, dog. I was down. I was like,
I
yo,
believe it. I believe it.
yeah, he jumped. He hit me so hard, man. He was not playing around. He was on full skate mode. He wasn't engaging a motherfucking thing. He was fight or flight. His flight took all the way, and that was serious. He took flight and in my face.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that, and you said that like when you came to, there was like raccoons looking at you, like, "Hey man, you good?"
Yeah, they were up there like, what the hell?
You
Last time you
alright?
brought something, like it was kind of like they were looking at me like, man, what you bring out here this time? That thing didn't do shit like last time. Last time you done took one of us out of here. We took one of you out of here this time.
Man,
They
I
it's
be
sitting there
laughing.
laughing at you.
Yeah,
yeah,
because my boy be like, yo, you be out there doing some crazy shit, man, with them damn dogs. And I be like, yeah. But hey, real quick before I forget, this right here is what y'all want to try to inquire on eye care.
yeah.
Terramycin. It's If you can get this from the vet now, this is great to have in your pack. Just a piece size, like a little, like a very small drop in the corner of an eye after you flush them will help with any kind of scratches or any kind of damage. This is very good stuff, man. Man, I
It's
truly
crazy.
believe
I had you could get that like off I think Amazon too. I had a
you can
bit.
get this from Amazon now.
I'm
I
not.
think you probably could, or something similar to that.
Because I
Yeah,
know
I
even
think
I
I
know
got it
even
off Amazon for my son's bearded dragon had a little eye problem,
yup,
like the lizard, like a
yup,
bearded dragon,
Yeah.
yup,
and it
yup,
was that shit. And I
yup,
think I got it.
terramycin.
Yeah, it
Yup.
was definitely that, but I'm pretty sure I got it off Amazon. I'm
Now
pretty sure.
I know Chewy had to pull it off of there because it hit it hit the FDA vet, the stuff that the vet don't that the FDA don't want the vet or veteran supply stores selling no more. Like I got a bottle of Pen G, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't buy that no more. Like, so if you got a bottle of it, be sparingly on how you use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that I live by is like they always want to give kids amoxicillin for everything. And they give you a 10-day supply and tell you to use it all. Well, nobody in their right mind ever uses a 10-day supply of amoxicillin. The sickness is gone before the 10 days is up. So you always have this extra amoxicillin. So what I do is I just pour it into one big bottle. Because if you take your ass to the vet with a dog that has parvo, right? When they send you home with aftercare treatment, you know what they give you? They give you outdated amoxicillin, human amoxicillin, right? And all they did was buy it from one of them pharmaceutical companies that go into these fucking
Crazy.
pharmacies and do outdated medicine inventory. And what they do is they sell it all to the vets. And the veterinary supply places, they repackage it and just do it for dogs. Yeah, it's outdated for humans by FDA standards, but it ain't outdated for no damn dog. So they
That's
do
good
all
to know.
this.
Notes.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
so look, I noticed I don't and like yo, Marshall will tell you I got so much amoxicillin, bro. I got amoxicillin for days. And remember this, amoxicillin will not kill a dog. You can give a dog amoxicillin. Like
Mm-hmm.
see another good like Sulflexrin, that's another good one I keep on hand for certain shit. Like out here, I have to keep rattlesnake juice on hand. I gotta keep
Snake juice. Okay.
snake bite. Um, this
people in the chat are saying fish mocks right now, so they're talking about like fish mocks.
well that okay. So you can get fixed amoxicillin, yes, but they've also caught hip to that. So they've took a bottle that used to be $15 is now I think now like $50.
Yep.
Um, Bax and G, this is good. You know what I mean? This is Bactrin. Pen G. I call it Pen G. What else I got in here? Dex. You always want to keep some Dex on hand.
Okay.
That's good medicine. Um, got a whole lot of shit.
This is going to be like a seriously good podcast to reference back to, you guys. So anyone who's listening to this live, like,
Definitely.
Um,
We went
I can,
over
there's some
1,000
high
different things.
points. Yeah.
now, so here's just a trick, okay? And this is a trick that I've learned from Robbie. So I don't know how much you guys work dogs in the cold, right? But the cold it really does take a toll on them, especially if you keep them thin and in tip top shape. Like the ground's cold, man. It takes a toll on a dog. And Marshall, you know what I'm talking about, man. You've
Yeah.
seen me do this. So when I pull a dog out of a set and like even off of like they've been wet and the wind's been hitting them and you can see it, they're starting to fatigue out. This right here,
Yes. Yeah.
this
That
is
that that's
NutriCal. This is like this is like 10 Red Bulls for a dog in one spoon.
Okay.
So like if you have a dog that's like
Oh,
really
nutrients, yeah,
depleted,
I heard
yo,
nutrients.
I
Yeah, I'm
keep
sure.
this. I mean, I believe in this 100%, man.
Yeah, I've heard of
Um,
nutrients.
it's very good. It's hot. And like I said, it's got all these vitamins, malt flavor with omega 3, 6, and 9. Um, it's just it gives them a spunk back. It gives them energy. You know what I mean? Um, and I'm not saying it does anything special like magic, but it does do something. And
Yeah.
it definitely make them liven up some. Like it'll get them like lively. If they're down and they're burnt out and they're like going into shock stage, this stuff here, man, I don't know. It's
No,
just it's good
I
stuff.
remember when me and you cut onto this like soybean field, and we had Henry, we had Spade, and you
Yup.
gave me like a good like thumbful of it, and I put under Henry's like lip, and he was just sprinting in that field the whole time. Like it
Gave his
was
ass empty. Yeah, like
skin
people don't
guard. You didn't
understand
care.
that, man.
Catnip effect.
Yeah, it
Yup.
was like pre
Yeah.
workout.
Yup. Exactly.
It's crazy.
Okay.
It worked. It worked pretty good. I haven't seen this shit in a while. I need to get some of that actually. The pet store
You
I
know,
ran with
you
sells
know
it.
what's crazy? They sell it right at, like yo, like you. Okay, so which one's owned by Tractor Supply? Petco.
Possibly.
I'm not
Pet,
even sure, but we
I
got
think
Petco, PetSmart
PetSmart
on
don't
here.
carry. One of them doesn't carry. It's the one where you got a sign where the one that the pet store that don't which is the big one? Petco, is that the one where they
You're
sell
talking
fish?
about Petco where you gotta sign off on certain
Yeah,
shit you get
they
on
don't
that.
sell it. Yeah, they don't sell it. They'll look at
Okay,
it like they don't sell
PetSmart
it.
sells it then.
PetSmart sells it. Yup.
Okay.
PetSmart. Then now PetSmart's owned by Tractor Supply. So you can get it from Tractor Supply and you can get it from PetSmart.
Okay. That's good to know. Notes.
Yeah. What else? Well,
You
can't
definitely
say.
you definitely covered the whole basis as far as just like meds and how to rock with it. We gotta get you here in the spring. You come to Maryland, man. If you come to Maryland, feel free to come down to Mass so we can figure some stuff out in the spring.
Yeah, I'm definitely with it.
Yeah, sure. Why
You
not?
know, I like to show them all these guys. I've had every shovel in man God's creation. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you got some good
But
shovels.
do you have? Did I gave you a Fisker, didn't I?
I had a small. You gave me a smaller Fisker that eventually, like the ones that you can kind of like turn and spin and lock, like one of those little shovels.
No, that's a military shovel. So
Portable, yeah, portable
I've
shit.
been so I use I don't have my pack here. I don't have my pack in here. So I use a Fisker shovel, one cast steel, but I cut them and modify them. And that the person was asking about that digging bar.
Yeah,
Um, these shovels that I make, like after I don't make them, I buy them and then cut them down to what I want. But these are way better than any digging bar, and you can move rock. And Curtis actually saved the guy. He cut through the top of this dude's roof that flipped over on a Highway 66 by his house. And the firefighter said, "My man, where'd you get that
Go ahead,
shovel?"
go
He's
for it.
like, and I was laughing. I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah, man." Like, and you sharpen them with a grinder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these
can
things are
do
the
you have it?
best,
Can we
man.
see it?
Huh?
Do you think we can see it? Do you have one? 'Cause
Let's see if
I don't think I've seen that before.
One on deck.
Maybe I have. I think as soon as I see it, I'll click. But I don't think I got one from you.
hold on. They're metal.
Yeah.
They're steel. Hold on. Let me see if I got one in here. I know I don't got one in here. Hold on. I went outside. God damn, it's cold out here.
The Patterdale Tim has right now kind of looks like yours, Ronald.
Huh?
The Patterdale Tim has right now kind of looks like yours a little bit. It's like has that brown kind of color.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got a red bitch like Ginger?
Yep. That's what
I
he's got.
don't have my shovel here. My shovel's at the shop.
Nah, that's all good.
I got two. I got original size one, and I got the ones I cut down. Um, I'll send you guys. I'll send you some information on them, Marshall.
Yeah.
Um, I swear, maybe I gave one to Dave Walton the last time he was here. He was like, bro, he was like, I ain't never seen a shovel like that. I was like, I give you it. He ain't say take one. He was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, but hey, check these new leads I made. I made out. Oh, you know another thing that's a really good product that I gotten from who makes it is Jared. Um Jared Price Sr. He
I, yeah, Jared's always on some good shit. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get Jared on this pod.
Oh man, listen, dude. Jared is very knowledgeable. Listen, if you want somebody to explain nutrition to you,
Yes, exactly.
yo, bro, listen,
I want him here for it.
he is your guy, man.
Let's get him on.
Like
Let's get him on. That would be
he,
great.
yo,
Talk about
so
some nutrition with these dogs that we love.
so this cat, like a while back, sent me like I think it was like 25 pounds of nutrition mix and 5 pound. And my boy got into a divorce where I wasn't able to get into the store like we were supposed to, like the way everything was supposed to go. So now I got this nutrition mix. So I kind of just been gifting it to people I mess with and using it myself. But I've been I made some more short leads, Marshall.
Yeah, man, you gotta be careful because that shit's really good. So if you wanted to pop your merch right now, you could, but you gotta have the supplies because like it works. Like speaking from personal experience as a dog trainer, I've used the leashes that Tim has made and put on dogs and attached them to walls, and it's kept those dogs from killing me. Like literally, those dogs had
Hey,
100% that intent, and that leash didn't kept them from doing that, and they could not
God,
shoot.
man,
They could
I
not
got.
shoot the leash to get me.
I'm telling you, like, yo, um, dude, that system right there is the key. That thickness of cable, dude, just that system right there, and those quick releases. I think that's the best system, and Robbie agrees. You know what I mean? Robbie makes them just like I do, and you know what I mean. They're forever leashes. If they do start to wear, cut the ends, use your same clips. All you have to do is get a new piece of cable and a new fucking cable clip and put it all back together, and it's like there. You know what I mean? Like you go hooking a dog up to a tree on a nylon leash, and that dog really wants to get off that thing. You know how
It's
quick it
all
takes for that to chew off through there? Not very long. Couple good bites, and that thing's off of there. It's going down the whole pasture as you're trying to dig out the other dog out.
that is
Now
how
you got,
that's how every
you know,
husky gets loose. Every single husky in the neighborhood, that's how they get loose. You got them on that leash, rope around, chew that thing in half, and they are goodbye.
yeah, man. I enjoyed being on here with y'all tonight, man. This was enjoying. I enjoyed this, man. I
Yeah,
really
man.
do. I'm glad y'all invited me. Thank y'all very much, man.
No, we appreciate you, man. It's been fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
hell
definitely been
yeah.
fun. We've been on there for
Definitely.
basically like 3 hours, so this is definitely gonna be a great show. I was just saying to Tsunami, it's always good when people come through and ask questions because
Yeah, absolutely, man. Makes it hey, that makes it for a better conversation. Everybody gets to learn, take some things home. You know what I mean?
everyone gets to
Reflect
learn
on some things.
exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
reflect. You know what I mean? See what you can implement in your own program. You know?
Hmm.
Um, like tonight, him asking whoever, like, the gentleman who was asking Tsunami and whoever else was asking the question, he actually made me think about like what I need to like actually get my ass in gear and go ahead and get new supplies on. Start looking like digging, like, I got some leashes. Um, you know, I don't know how far you are from Marshall or whatnot. You guys get together often or whatnot. But Marshall, if you send me an address,
We'll
I'll
close. We'll
send you.
close. We'll definitely be getting up
Yeah.
a
Okay.
lot. It's a lot. Once it gets warm, we'll be getting up a lot. But we're like what? We're like 40 minutes away
yeah.
or something like that.
Oh, okay. Not far. Not far.
Not far at all. No.
Yeah, nice, nice. And I'm gonna tell you, man, you couldn't ask for a better hunting partner, man. Marshall was the show. Marshall was fun to be with, dog. Like real good conversation, just
Yep.
down to earth. Knows a lot about dogs. Very knowledgeable. Real good people, man. I've always enjoyed being with Marshall.
Cool. Cool.
You
So
know.
yeah, Marshall, you got anything you want to say before we get up out of here? Tim, thanks for coming through. We'll
Yeah,
have you
thanks for
come through
having me.
again. We're gonna have you come through again too, so we can
Yeah,
do the
Pilot
call-in
talk.
Yeah, I would enjoy being
Appreciate
on here and
you on
doing
that.
that, man. That would be
Yeah,
tight.
yeah,
I think everybody would learn something from that. I mean, even myself, you know what I mean?
yeah. For sure. Marshall, you got anything you want to say, bro?
I appreciate everyone for tuning in and having a great conversation about talking these dogs and just figuring out the history of how they work here and how we do things. So just keep tuning in, guys. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. If y'all, hey, I'll tell you who you should try to get on here, man. Either Rob Craver or Raymond Harkins, like some of the older guys, and Todd
Dude,
Fulford.
give me
Invite
Robbie.
Todd.
We gotta get
Get Todd.
Robbie on here.
Huh?
We gotta get Robbie on here. I want Robbie on here.
Notes for
Rob, hey, Robbie, hey, I can talk to Robbie, man, and put it in his ear.
all right, cool. Yeah, definitely. We're gonna because we're trying to get all of them on here. So yeah, for sure. Shit, if
Yeah,
you can
that'd be
help us out
tight,
with
man.
that, definitely. But
You
we're
know,
trying to get
you got guys all over, man. You know, like Mr. Park, you know, Jamie Park, you know, he's a good guy. You know, he knows a lot, you know, very knowledgeable. Mr. Vetzel himself, you know what I mean? I know Mr. Park still deals with Mr. Vetzel a lot.
yeah.
Um,
We're gonna get them all in here. You know, because
yeah,
we're doing
absolutely,
this.
man.
We're doing this every Wednesday. So you know
Right on.
that's four different. That's four different people in a month. So
Month. Yeah, that's tight. That's tight, man.
so we're definitely trying to get them in here and you know, keep it pushing, keep it going, and everyone spread the word and take care of your dogs.
Absolutely.
Tim, thanks for having you.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
you.
Thank you for having me, man.
You have a good night.
Good night. God bless y'all.
Marshall, you already know. I'll hit you up, bro.
Sounds like a plan, man.
All right,
Good
later on.
night. Good night.
Right.